What's happening, people? Oh, it is Monday. It's time for Ashmatic Analysis. Be mindful, I'm on my phone and on different systems, so it might go wrong tonight. But Ash, are you well?
Brother, I'm blessed, man. Big up to the chat as always. Please make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Bruv, it's crazy. Narratives have to narrative right now because we've got a small team called Aston Villa in the FA Cup. And there was quite a few fans saying, I think we're better than Villa. We got a better squad. They don't rate Villa's squad. It's going to be very interesting.
Or that Villa team that's in the title race.
Yeah. That same Villa team. Man, it's crazy. But look, man, it is what it is. Hopefully, the boys can get the job done. But it's just very interesting to see how opinions change. But how are you, my broski, sir?
No, all good, man. All good. A lot of change, but all good. Hopefully, I'm back to being normal next week.
How was
laptop and all?
How was the time off as well?
Yeah. All good.
Cool. All right, big up.
All right, let's bring out these guests, man. Let's bring out Mr. Regular. Hold on, let's see if I can do this now. Orin, you well?
I'm good. You guys all good? Beaming? Smiling?
Can't complain, man. Good
result. It's about time we won.
Yeah. You know what? It's the manner. It's the manner of how the team won. I think that was also important. And couple, obviously, Xavi scored and the goal that he scored as well. And even against Newcastle, it was the manner of how that draw, Romero stepping up. But yeah, let's get on with it.
Let's bring out the main man himself, part of the Phil Army. Phil P. You well?
Yes, boys. How's it going?
Big up.
It's been a minute, Phil. It's been a minute.
It's far too long, Marlon. Thanks for reaching out. I know you're only doing Ashmatic's work. Listen, I don't care how or why the call comes, but when the call comes, I will answer. Bless you. Thanks for having me on, guys. Or nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir.
And last but not least, big up to Josh. You well?
What's going on, people? What's going on? Sorry, I ain't got the amazing studio to sit in today, so you're gonna have to bear with this phone sideways, and hopefully I don't look too cross-eyed on this. Where I'm looking at, I look like I'm looking over there. I'm looking at Orin the whole time, but I'm not. I'm looking at everyone. I'm not looking at Orin. But yeah, big up everyone, big up the panel, and great to be on again. Thanks, Ash. Thanks, Marlon.
Big up.
No problems. Let's get started. To this whole thing. Like, I think Orin's already touched on it. We obviously had Newcastle last week, which everyone thought were going to get battered. And then we had Brentford, where Thomas Frank, if he's going to know any team in and out, it's going to be Brentford. And we seem to actually turn up. Ash, what happened? Why did we turn up?
I just personally think the attitude was right, the intent, the handbrake came off a little piece. Do you know what I mean? The energy looked completely different to anything I've really seen all season. Talking about being front-footed, the intent was there from the offset. I was like, watching the first 2 to 3 minutes, I was like, what's going on? But we look different. I just can't put my finger on it. But I thought that he was committing more players forward. He was letting the fullbacks push up the pitch a lot more. I thought it kind of was reminiscent of, dare I say it, Ange ball minus the inverted fullbacks. Do you know what I'm saying? And he kind of said, Van der Ven, Romero, I trust you. Let the other players just play their game. And the fluidity, we'll talk about it, but I just like the performance of Kudos and Xavi. I thought they had a lot of freedom, and that's what kind of pulled them apart. So, yeah, without getting into tactics, formations, or whatever, I just thought the attitude was just correct on the day. And I'll just leave it at that. You know what I mean? We got the job done, and yeah, it was long needed. Fans inside the stadium reacted to the boys just being up for it, you know. So it was great. It was great to see, and it was just a great weekend overall. I'll be honest with you, man. Obviously,
what else are you talking about, Ash? What are you talking about?
The man there.
Let's just say you had a good lunch on Saturday. Let's just say lunch tasted all right.
Well, I let my guests just talk on it because
yeah,
I'll be here forever. Yeah,
Phil, I'm gonna come to you.
All right, okay. Yeah, I think like how they started there's one player who's, I think, an unsung, and I think he dictated, and that's Archie Gray. I think, and Spence looked like he had a point to prove. He was finally back on his left side, and he was bumming forward. But like I said, I believe that I've been one of the main ones shouting, put Archie Gray next to Bentoncourt or Polina. We saw what happened. He was calm. He kept running. He never stopped moving. Like, that's the thing about Archie Gray. Like, he never walks. He'll pass, move, which made the rest of the players step up. Even Kudus, I think Kudus was confident after how he finished the Newcastle game. But yeah, it was that pass and move. Xavi learning how to, maybe it's not always about getting the ball to feet. Maybe it's about making runs in behind, giving the player an option, player finding a good goal and then a goal. But like I said, I've always said the midfield is the key. And from now on going forward, it has to be Archie Gray or Bergville next to Polina. Because it's just the drive, the forward passing, the movement, the running, and that excites the players. So, like, personally, yeah, it was really good watching it on the front foot. Spurs should have won by a couple more goals, I think. Sarr had a good chance to put it away. So, yeah, and I think a lot of people say, oh, it's only Brentford. But listen, Wolves, it's only Wolves. It's only Fulham. You know what I mean? Games Spurs lost. So Brentford was meant to be the team that, like, are above Frank. Spurs just nullified them all the way through. So it was, it was good to watch, and I think the Newcastle game kind of aided. It flowed nicely from the Newcastle game right into this game. Like, yeah, Romero stepping up again, just like taking control.
Hey. You know what? I was thinking the same thing, Pipes. I was like, right, what are you saying? Build a team around Archie Gray, or like, is that what we're doing?
No. What I'm saying is, I've been saying for a while that it's either, I said, Archie Gray or Bergville, because what these two offer is energy and they'll get forward. We saw that against PSG. They both played and they both linked up together. So I'm not saying build a team around them. I'm saying if you have two players you can rotate who have the energy to get up and down and have the maturity to sit back like Archie Gray does, then play them. That's what we've been saying, because Archie Gray's been not good enough, according to Spurs fans. And the one game he plays, he was sound, didn't make any mistakes, any errors. So why not play him? Spend 40 million on him. So
is that down? It's on a quick note, because I can't stand Archie Gray, right? But I did say he plays.
Of course, that's the thing. What's he actually done?
But is it because he didn't have to defend at the weekend?
But he still defended. He still made
not
blocks.
As much. He was the one between Xavi and he was the one getting on the ball. He wasn't when he had to defend. I think there was a couple of times he did, but he didn't have to do it consistently. Yes,
of course, because that's his position. Yeah. He's a box to box. He's meant to defend when he needs to and get forward. Yeah,
but Spurs have been probably playing him more as a defensive person.
Yeah,
and he's probably not that player.
No, he's not. That's the thing. Yeah. And he's only this season he's only played as central midfield, and it took time. And now,
but that's the first time he's played the 8 though. He hasn't played the.
Yes, that's what I mean. And it's like, I think the training and the coaching, they've been coaching him up to that. And it's, again, I'm not saying build a team around him. I'm saying we saw. I don't think they've been coaching to that.
No, because the reason is because I said from last year he's very good on the ball. He needs to play as a number 8. I've been saying it from day dot. I said I don't like him as a player because he can't defend, but I said as a number 8 he'd be perfect for it.
Yeah,
and it all surprised us because he played Bentoncourt instead of Polina. And I do agree with you that the sense of they had to play Bergvall or Gray next to Polina and what's his name, Bentoncourt. It was just So he must. Look, for me, it's a case of home games it work, because away from home, Archie Gray, apart from Bodo Glimt's been absolutely awful in those games. So that's probably where it comes into play.
I think the difference is against Bobo Glint, though, didn't have Xavi. Did they have Xavi for Bobo Glint? Or was it Sarr? Was it Xavi?
No, none of our new players started against Bodo.
Yeah, so like,
they're all on the
bench. We have to look at having a number 8 is good, but if you don't have a proper number 10, it doesn't work. So I think Archie Gray and Bergville was asked to instructions to push more forward to try and close it down, but because Frank didn't do that, Frank was like, no, you sit deep and we will get Richie, Colin Moani, Kudus and Xavi to push forward. And in defense, they dropped to a 4-4-2 all the time. So it's more compact. So therefore, with Xavi being a proper number 10, it worked because Archie Gray is the one player who will always look for him. He's not going to be afraid not to pass the ball like a Pellegrini or Bentancur. He's not going to pass it back. And he's going to pass and make space to get the receiving ball again. So Archie Gray did everything good. Wasn't sung and dance. He wasn't doing backflips or whatever, but he was disciplined. And he's only 19. So he's only going to get better. He'll convince you. He'll convince you.
Phil,
get the rest of the guys in.
Yeah, Phil, bring you into it. What did you make of the performance on?
Listen, first of all, I want to give respect to Marlon Ashmatic for challenging Orin and going back to make sure his receipts on his tax self-assessment are in order. So there's no HMRC of football.
Yeah.
Spurs version coming for him in a few weeks' time on Archie Gray, or in a few years' time on Archie Gray when he's playing like for Tamworth or somewhere, or Milan or Madrid. You know, we know
they will.
exactly where he's at.
They will.
What the level is. So, but they give you the right to reply, and so it's all there. But listen, I'll come back to Archie Gray in a minute. But Ash, I thought you were spot on. In the end of the day, football, because we all love it so much, we all dissect it so much, we love the deep dive, right? But in the end, the manager can have a game plan. They could have worked on it for the 48 hours they've had since their last game or whatever it is. But in the end, if the players haven't got the right attitude when they walk out on the pitch, you know, we're done, right? And, you know, I liken it to the end of the Poch era. The running stats fell off a cliff, right? And it was just the spirit was broken to that team. And the worry for me was, where was the attitude against Chelsea? Where was the attitude against Woolwich away? This was the first game that we actually, in a long time, that we actually saw some reason for hope, that the players looked like they knew what they were doing. They looked like they were up for it. And even when Brentford broke, and obviously I thought Romero was lucky only to get a yellow for that challenge, but it just showed they were locking it off straight away. They weren't taking any risks. They wanted it, and we were hunting in packs. We were going for it. I thought, really good game. I'm not getting out of my pram because it is only Brentford, but you know, it was a game that was a must-win. But not only did we get the win, but we got a little bit of an improved performance as well. So it was a fantastic Saturday. The only reason I didn't throw my beer up in the air in the goal line bar was because my friend David bought the beer for me. And I know how expensive the beer is in the stadium these days. So I thought I can't disrespect Dave by straight away throwing it up in the air when the fantastic Aston Villa goal went in. Massive love to Villa. Okay, big up Villa. But yeah, look, that started off what was a fantastic Saturday for all of us. So we enjoyed it. But a few other things I just wanted to shout out. I thought Mawani, Richarlison, Gray, maybe even Spence, all I thought had their best games, if not in a long time, their best games this season. And obviously that's standard for Mawani, even though I think there's a lot of, he showed a lot for me in that game. So I can see, I'm hopeful on him as well, but I was worried when he ran across the pitch on that last sort of press. I thought he did pull up and he got subbed off straight away. So I don't know what's going on there. There was talk of him limping in the mix zone. So I don't know if you've got any more on that, guys.
Yeah,
but,
apparently
yeah, look,
in grass today, so he's training. So
oh, nice. So he had me sweating for no reason, Ash. But look, all in all, good times. Yes, we could have had more. You know, a few sloppy finishes second half. We could have had a bit more. But even in the defensive shape in the second half, we looked like we knew what we were doing. Everyone was handing their man across, that we're keeping disciplined. So even in the defensive shape, we look good. So, yeah, look, I think a lot to be happy for. On to the next one. let's see where we go. But we got the win, we got a performance, and maybe it was, you know, someone said it earlier, maybe it was just leading on from Romero laying a bit of a marker down last week, a few days ago, of course, against Newcastle, saying, look, we've got to get out of here with something. I'm leaving with something. And we did. We got a point, good away point. God bless the travelling supporters that went all the way up there on a school night. And, you know, that maybe gave us a little bit of something to bring back. Maybe even the captain was like, look, the performance when I was missing was absolute crap. Let's go. We've got to give it some. So look, much better. Lot to be hopeful for, but it's just the first step in the right direction after a lot of missteps. So the lads have still got to do something, but the fans reacted, and good times. Let's
Phil,
enjoy it. It's a happy Sunday. I'm back on the show. We're all together, lads. The viewers are happy. We're happy. Archie Gray's happy. The whole Gray family in Leeds are happy. You know,
until next week when Spurs lose.
Phil, just quickly on the atmosphere on Saturday, because there's been mixed reviews on it. How did you find the atmosphere on Saturday in the stadium, especially when we went 1-0 up?
Look, I think everyone went crazy when the goals went in. It was great. There wasn't too much kicking off, I would say. It was great at the start. You know, we're all giving it full beans before kickoff. Vicario did get a big shout out, so I'm glad the manager recognised that and he shouted it out. But there wasn't too much. Like, I thought there'd be big chance for Vicario, but there wasn't. So, you know, my dad was saying, yeah, look, we've all just got to keep it cool. Yeah, he still did make a massive rick. So let's not swing the pendulum too far back the other way. The away supporters let him know that, you know, he's still wanted. We haven't hounded him out of the club, you know, French ultra style yet. But I wouldn't say it was amazing, mate, but I don't think it was bad. But it was, it did get a bit testy up in block 258, where I am, mainly led by myself, with some of the refereeing decisions. That guy needs to lay off the gym. No, you don't want to hear this, actually. He needs to lay off the gym, grow back his sideburns, and maybe read the rule book. There were some mad situations coming out in that game. Obviously, in retrospect, Spence did absolutely clobber Kelleher in the goal. When he stopped the game for that, I was like, look, why doesn't every keeper just lay down holding his head after he's made a save to make sure like no one scores from the rebound? But on second viewing, he did get clattered. But you know, it's a physical game. Let's see where we go. But I did worry for him because he never went off for concussion protocol afterwards. So, you know, protect the players, Marlon. That's what I'd say. Protect the players.
Thank you, Josh. Bring you into it. What was your whole reaction to last week? Newcastle, then Brentford.
I can only echo what's been said. I think more than anything, it's relief. I think Spurs fans feel relieved because we've not seen a performance for how long? Do you know what I mean? Like, forget Copenhagen. Apart from that, we've not seen a performance. Chelsea was 1st of November. I was there. And after that, there was the North London derby. There was crap against... It's just been crap. Man United, last minute, yeah, we pulled it back. Should have won that. And then Fulham, I was there last week for that. And it's just been... It's like we've been suffocated because we've not had a performance. So I think this is more relief than anything. And what I will say is this should be the standard, right? This squad's good enough to beat Brentford, to beat Fulham, you know, to beat Forest away. So we can't get too giddy about it because this should be the standard that Frank should be delivering week in, week out. I'm happy to lose in the North London derby if we put in a performance, but this should be the standard. So I'm looking at this performance thinking, all right, cool, but you've just proven to me and all the Spurs fans you can deliver this. I'm talking to the players here as well. So now if you don't deliver it, what are you saying? You're saying you're not bothered. Because if you've shown you can do it, it's just a matter of consistency. And consistency comes from effort and discipline and being up for it home and away. So I'm looking at this performance thinking, right, I'm excited, I'm happy. But then I'm looking at it thinking, nah, this is what Spurs should be doing every week. So I'll give the players a lot of credit. I'll give Frank a lot of credit. But it's been an awful season, chaps. I know we're only 3 points of 5th or 4th, or whatever it is, but it has been a poor season. And this performance is off the back of 4 or 5 bad results, bad performances. And we can say, yeah, Spurs are back, but like I say, until we do it 3-4 games in a row, I'm not going to be sitting here too excited. But I give the players a lot of credit on the day. I give credit to Frank for not starting Bentancur and Polinia. I give credit to Frank for putting Xavi in the middle where he should be, where he can affect the game the most. That's the kind of football he's been playing all his career, in the middle, affecting the game. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, but I mean, it's just sad that it's taken 6 games to get this performance out of the team. And I think Frank has to take some criticism. Everyone's criticised him. He's criticised the fans. The players have criticised the players, starting on each other. And then you've had fans calling out Frank for being rigid and not fluid. And finally, it's all come together. But guys, it's only one result in it. So you can't be too happy, because what if we go to Forest away and lose 2-0 or put in a bad performance? So probably that's just the Spursy in me. But yeah, good performance on the day.
You know what? I hear it. We're 5 points, like you said, off top 4, but then we're 5 points off being 15th.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying, hence why we are 11th before the show starts.
Yeah, the table's mad, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really watch the table like that right now, because it's been one of those seasons where anything can change at a given game. One game you could be at the top, next game you could be at the bottom. So
I mean, would you guys say, based on what you've seen this season, we're higher than we should be? Because I look at the performance this season, I don't know how we're there. I'm just being honest. I'm just being realistic. Like, can you really say we deserve to be where we are in the table? Would you say we've been a bit lucky? We were lucky in the beginning of the season, if you ask me, guys.
I would say yes. I'd say yeah. And the reason why I'd say yes is because apart from Arsenal, our away form has been pretty much solid. We're not been great, but we've been solid. The fact that we not one of them games I've gone, we actually deserve, well, Brighton maybe, but we played so well in the second half against Brighton, we probably did deserve the draw. Where our home form, we've been awful. And that's where we've kind of not picked up anything.
But have you actually seen? Yeah, go on. Sorry.
You said it. It dawned on me, right? And don't feel sorry for me, but I didn't get to go to the Burnley game, and I couldn't face going to Copenhagen. So this was like the first win I've seen all season, and I've been to all the home games, and it was. I'm thinking, what's going on? Literally, it was the summer. I was coming back from my summer holidays when we beat Burnley. And now it's Christmas, guys. It's Christmas.
Exactly.
You can legitimately watch Elf on TV now, and Spurs have got their second win at home. It's like, that's relegation form.
Lads. It's been a poor season, chaps. It's been a poor season. It has been a poor season.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I get the home form. That's and like Marlon said, the away form has kept Spurs in that position. I think it was just home form, yeah, rightfully so. But if you really look at the whole of the Premiership, there isn't a lot of teams who've been playing good at home. I mean, Liverpool. How many games have Liverpool lost at Anfield? Man City. I think Arsenal are the only ones who've kind of like sustained. So with the home form, I think the big issue was how Spurs were losing at home, the lack of effort, the not trying, the not attacking. I think that was more. Fans were still some fans were giving Frank more time and going, right, he can get this right. He's got the players to get it right. And I think, personally for me, as such, what I saw against Brentford was he's finally got it. Because a lot of fans were saying, can't play double pivot. You can't play Polinia. You can't play Bentancur together. We've seen that. You've played them at home. Go for a little bit. Attack a little bit. And I think Frank, especially after, I think, the Fulham game, where he was annoyed, angry for all sorts of reasons, said about the fans, some fans booing Vicario. I think he was really annoyed at that. But he made sure the next home game is like, right, we have to go for it. And I think that resonated with the players.
I got a question though for all of you.
I've got a question as well.
Okay.
Go on.
So the question off the base that back of that is, do you think Keith Andrews played right into our hands because they're the only team to have come here and tried to attack Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and not camped in?
I personally think there were times when, he did go forward. He was more adventurous. But there were times when they tried to sit in a low block. And a lot of our attacks, when we manufactured, because we kind of sat off a little bit, we tried to reserve energy at certain times of the game. And if you look at maybe, I'd say our second goal from Xavi, that was because a mistake from Xavi himself. He actually carried the ball into one of their players, Yamalenko, loses the ball, but then wins it back from a challenge, from a duel, which Frank has been pushing really hard.
Yeah, but going back to that, like other teams haven't really done that. You'll see where they were in that final third because it was more in our half. Other teams haven't done that to us at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What they've kind of done is let us have the ball instead of actually pressurising us. And this is what everyone noticed about Brentford's tactics. But
there were times that they sat back.
But not as much as the others. Like when you go and watch Fulham and you go and watch Wolves and all them, they literally just sat
the game state.
Yeah, but maybe because they sensed blood in the water, right? They might have thought we can go and get something here.
Fulham got the early goals, if you remember right, and that's the reason why they sat off so much.
Yeah, but they've got the goals. But
if we had scored,
the other teams haven't. Yeah,
no. But if we had scored, because remember we hadn't got the shot recorded on target in the first half. Yeah, so if Spurs had scored, that kind of changes the game state and allows teams to then want to step onto you. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's the issue because Brentford tried. This was the issue because Brentford tried to step onto us, which meant we were able to create more.
Because we were 2 goals up.
Yeah, no. This was before the 2 goals because because before we scored, we were actually creating more. But because Brentford were trying to pressurise us more upfield than what other teams have done in the last few weeks, and I think I agree with Phil. They smelt blood, and I think this is what played into our hands. And plus, Frank knowing them, like he knows 9, 11 players.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So is it a case of are we here all looking at it, jumping the gun a little bit? Because actually, if I knew 9 out of the 11 players, I'm going to know exactly how to play. When it comes to Nottingham Forest next week, where there's Sean Dyche, will we see something?
Anything I would say, I thought we were moving the ball a lot quicker as well.
That's it.
At one point, I actually said, we're playing some one-touch stuff here.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
I turned around to the guys next to me and I said, listen, guys, we're doing a passable impression of a football team.
Yeah.
You know, it was all a bit mad. It was all a bit crazy down there.
Yeah.
But, I think the other thing, Brentford obviously forced a really good save, didn't they? They nicked the ball. It was played into Richie. Their defender stepped on, strode forward, played a good ball into their striker, and it was on target. Vic had to pull out a bit of a save there. That could have been 1-0.
I was going to say that it'll be interesting to see how he does approach Nottingham Forest, because does he keep with this intensity? Does he keep with the attacking football? Does he let the handbrake off? Will fans criticize him if he goes back to defensive football? That was my thinking. Like, how do you not think he should approach Nottingham? Because Nottingham Forest are quite combative. They're not an easy team. Like, they've got a strong.
Josh, if you answer that one, because you said earlier because obviously you're talking about we've been terrible this season, but when you look at it, apart from Arsenal, we've been terrible. We've been actually solid away. But like Ash said, would you be mad if he went back to that what he knows, because actually away from home it's been working?
I think being a go to Nottingham Forest and play a low block and try and win it on a corner, but that's just my basic premise. If you're a Spurs manager with this squad, so I don't want the players to get too used to going away to Nottingham Forest. And this ain't the Nottingham Forest of last season. This is Nottingham Forest who, let's be honest, they're average. If this was this time last year, you might have a point, and you take the sort of the ugly route with that, and you try and nick a goal. But I don't want the players and the DNA of the players, and we could talk about the DNA of the club as long as we want. I don't want that to be the default in any ways. That should only be a way to PSG. That should not be a way to Nottingham Forest. So I need Frank to get rid of every Brentford bone in his body. And he needs to get rid of this thing of how I stop the opposition, how we nick it, because that's what he did for 9 years at Brentford. And I respect that, because Brentford were an average team and he finished mid-table with him, and that was his highest finish. But this is such a different fish. And if he starts going away, trying to nick wins, what are we telling the players to do? We're telling them to play within themselves. And maybe it's the Spurs in me, right, that wants to play football all the time. And I want to see Xavi doing this thing with the freedom and the fluidity he had on the weekend away from home. Why does it have to be like that only at home? So my thing is, look, it's a very, very topsy-turvy table, guys. You can go from 15th to 12th to 10th, whatever, within a point or two, jump 7-8 places. Our XG is 6 from bottom. That cannot remain. Our XG cannot remain 6 from bottom. So for me, I think you use this performance to almost copy and paste it away and say, lads, you can do this away. You can go to Nottingham Forest, play football, have the better XG and not rely on a set piece. We spent the first 5 games of this season just winning set pieces. Everton away. You know what I mean? So I don't want to see that from Spurs. Maybe I'm being picky or selfish or, you know, my expectations are too high, but I don't see why Tottenham should go away from home to a Nottingham Forest and be worried. I don't see why Tottenham should go to Newcastle and be worried. And we show some character against Newcastle. You know, Romero, you guys mentioned it. He's probably the only leader we've got. Is Benson Core leader? I don't know. Is Richie a leader? I don't know. These guys have been here 3-4 years. Who else is the leader in there? I don't know who else is in the leader in there. Son's gone. Van der Ven's been here 2 years. Yeah, I see leadership there. I do. But my point is, guys, we can't play fluid at home and then go away and try and nick it 1-0. No flipping way. Let's take the game to Forest. And I'm happy to lose 3-2, but I need to see front foot football. That XG should be in the top 6. We're a top 6 club. We always have been. Our average position is 6. Our squad is a top 6 squad.
Can we talk about player performance for a second, and still talk about Forest at the same time? Because obviously there's been a few fans. They have had certain players and they've been calling them out. So, for example, Spence, Bentan, Core, and they obviously had a good performance against Brentford. You don't think that was like a one-off, or do you think they can carry that into the season, like against a Forest? Do you know what I mean?
That's going to be the acid test, isn't it, guys? Because ultimately, you know, you can't just have one performance and then go back. The big thing, I think, however he sets us up, whoever plays, we've got to match that level of intensity. You know, to take a quote from one of our ex-high-profile managers, Conte, when I see aggressivity, I react aggressivity. And actually, I don't know, did Thomas Frank find an own coaching manual of Conte's that he left behind, if he even ever had one? You know, he said aggressivity a few weeks ago, didn't he? So I don't know, maybe the Spurs dictionary is, you know, from Del Boy or something. I don't know what's going on over there. But look, we've got to go. Forest are going to be up for it in our faces physically. We've got to match that energy, at least, if not put it on their toes. That is the bare minimum. You've got to earn the right to play football. You know, at any level of the game, you've got to earn the right to have the football to play. If we do that, however we want to play, you know, and hopefully it is, like you're saying, Josh, on the front foot a bit more. But if we're pressing as a team, if we're hunting in packs, we'll win the ball back in dangerous places. Look, how did Xavi's goal start? He lost the ball, but then he turned around and won it back himself, turned out and ran all the way to goal and lovely finish. You know, if you win the ball in difficult places for the opposition, it leads to goals. How many goals do we concede because we've lost the ball in our third? Right? That's what you've got to do. That is.
But then can I just say something on that, Phil? If we've not had the hunger, which is what it sounds like you're saying, whose fault is that? Because I feel like hunger's been missing all season too. Right? I feel like character and hunger's been missing, intensity, aggression, all of that's been missing. But is that down to Frank or the players? Because I've been having this debate with Spurs fans all season.
I personally think it's on Frank. I'll be honest with you. Because he's trying to negate what the other opponent's doing. That's what I think.
The negative energy.
First time he's gone to an opponent that he knows, like Marlon was saying, and he said, look, I trust in these players that they can, you know, get the job done. You lot are better than these players. So I think he was like, Van der Ven, Romero, they're going to be enough to kind of help us. Let's let the other players push forward, be more assertive, have intent, and go win this game. That's what I personally think, and that's what I mean by the handbrake off. Because before, I'd see 4 players behind the ball. I've seen 3 players behind the ball. And he spoke about it in his press conference, like when he's talking about the phase 2, phase 3, you know, in talking about build up, how we attack, talking about starting with a 4-1-4, like, you know, or a 3-2, or he was mentioning things like that. And the commentator said to him, or sorry, the journalist said to him, what for football fans, like, what does that mean? Like, could you break that down a little bit further, just in case they're not too football savvy? And he was just like, pretty much be more aggressive, get in their faces, be higher up the pitch. And he was talking that type of language. So going into the game, I thought, all right, I feel like Frank's going to go for it. But it'll be interesting to see, like Marlon was saying, will Daesh do the low block against us at home, or will he come on to us like Brentford did? Do you know what I mean? That's the question. How will we respond to that?
See, the thing is, like, with, I think, Fulham, Bournemouth, Wolves, what I noticed was it wasn't so much a low block. It was more those players were hungry and pressing and biting at the Spurs players, never giving them title settle. You can be in low block and defend, but eventually through a set piece or something you score. So what I saw with those teams, and I brought it up several times, like they just showed desire. They just wanted it more. They, were snapping. And I think what happens in the midfield, in certain way, that once the likes of Pellegrini and Bentancur, once they get kind of instinctive, it's automatically pass it back. Be safe. Try and control things. And Bentancur will try and slow things down, which is the wrong thing. And again, I'm not saying Bentancur, it's just his way. It's just their way. So the issue for Spurs with those games and the seasons where they have low XG, you can't really say that's a defense fault. That's because they didn't have players who are willing to make that pass, because they might make a mistake. They might overhit the pass. They might do something like that. I mean, Perro's crossing 19 times. So I just think that Frank says to the players, right, we'll go for set pieces. That's one way of scoring. We'll go for balls over the top. That's one way of scoring. We can defend. But I think, especially in the modern game, players will hide behind the manager as such. The manager told me to do it, so I'm not going to do anything. And I've always said, I think it's initiative. I mean, I don't think Frank went to Xavi, right, I want you to lose the ball and then I want you to, you should have the IQ to make those runs in behind. And Porro should have the IQ to find that ball. And Spurs do have players making runs. It's just, especially against Newcastle in the first half, Brendan Johnson was kept on making runs. And Kudus looked at him twice and passed it back. And you're thinking, right, I'm sure Frank is not telling him that. It's just the player's nervousness.
He might just not trust Brendan.
But that's the thing. Even if you don't trust him, you still give him the ball.
Oh, of course. Yeah, but actually, Lauren, this is something I've thought about, right? What do you guys think of this? If this does prove to be a bit of a turning point, the sort of anger and the flashpoint and the booing of Vicario and the general booing at the end of the games, and obviously the players, even before that, the players have shown discontent, haven't they? Whether it's the lads that walked off after the Chelsea game and refused to clap, right? Walked straight off. Whether it was now the players saying that they're going to, in solidarity with one another, get in a centre circle and walk off the pitch together. Now Vicario getting grief for his mistake. It's almost like it's built up to such a point where they're thinking, and it's not, this isn't a Spurs thing, it's football generally. How many times do we think, oh, a manager's lost the dressing room? You can sometimes think, okay, the other players dialing it in because they might already be thinking, well, if this doesn't work out, we'll just get another manager. I'm all right, Jack, I've got my contract. Whereas obviously some players that are fancied by a manager might think the opposite. Well, if this guy goes, he's the one that brought me in, or he's the one who's playing me, then it, something might go wrong. I might be fancied by the next guy. But generally, players have got that sort of shield. They've got the human shield of the manager in front of them. When the fans start putting it directly on the players, they're thinking, hold on, they're putting it on my toes now. I've actually got to do something. And maybe the players have had a get-together. Obviously, they have to a certain extent because they're showing this solidarity piece to walk off the pitch. But maybe even before Newcastle and even before Saturday, they thought we've got to up it ourselves. So I don't know whether it's coach. I don't know whether it's players. All we know is it was much, much better. The intensity was better. The chase.
So is your point? Is your point? Booing is a good thing. Then it works because the players find out directly.
Yeah, I think
I'm not saying bullying is a good thing, right? But
yeah, it is.
In the end, if you come through that crucible, right? If you come through the fire, you're tougher, right? You are tougher than someone who's had it all their own way. And look, in the end, a lot of people have made the point about you know, the players are basically working every day in like a 5-star or more hotel, basically. That's what the training ground is. Do they have it too easy? And maybe they finally realised we are plying our trade in Tottenham, right? I'm not talking about the stadium of Tottenham. I'm talking about Tottenham in North London, mate. You walk along that high road and you know where you are, right? Rightly so.
All right. So if you apply that logic, would you say that about players like Richarlison? Richarlison could end up our top scorer by the end of the season.
Yeah, Richarlison played well for 2 reasons. For 2 reasons. One, as we said, it's the World Cup. And 2, Brentford had a certain Brazilian striker who Richarlison needed to up. He said, no, I'm Brazilian's number 9. But we all know what Charleston. And with regards to the boo, it's very interesting this season because this is the first season in 25 years that the boo hasn't gone up to the certain chairman who's sitting there. Can't hide behind him anymore. Because we all know that if Daniel Levy was there, he would be getting flipping slated, booed. It's his fault. He hasn't bought this. He hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. And that's fine.
It's still his fault.
Yeah.
It's still his fault, but we can't shout at him anymore. It's not there.
Basically, now the fans are going to look at the manager and then go, wait a minute. We like Frank. It's the players. And Vicario getting booed, yeah, like because he made a stupid mistake. Like that, it wasn't even I think fans would understand, like, say, if he miskicked it or something, sliced off his foot. But the mistake he made was like
deliberate.
Yeah, stupid. So yeah, he got booed. And yeah, like it's funny because we talk about how players are only human. Yeah, I understand that, but so is the fans. And those fans will pay 300 quid a ticket. I haven't been to Spurs new stadium yet. I want to go to Spurs new stadium. By the time I take flights, tickets, and accommodation, it's going to cost me over $1,000 to go and see Spurs. 1 90-minute match. So
not
yeah,
for Frank football.
right, exactly. So if I paid that much and I'm watching it and Vicario makes a mistake, you better fucking ride on booing that fucker.
All right, let's talk on it then. Wait. Are we saying that this is a flash in the pan then? Is this what the panel reckons?
What?
What this performance
we're playing?
No, I don't think it is. I think, well, we'll find out, but I hope to think that Frank has finally just clicked. Remember?
I think the players have realised that we're not fickle, and we'll boo, and we'll let them know. And I think based on last season's 17th finish, we've still got some anger in the system. Based on the last 5 games, we've got anger, and that anger's come out recently against. Unfortunately, Vicario took a lot of it on the day, but the performance against Fulham, obviously, the performance before that. So I think just on this fan debate,
we're talking about, and you're right, 100%. And we've already mentioned like the gap between home wins this season. But actually, let's call it right. It's been going downhill since 2018. Yeah, we got to a Champions League final, but actually it's been pretty much one-way traffic straight down since that prime Poch side of 17-18, right? So we've suffered a lot over the years. So that's why you can't question the loyalty of Spurs fans. But also, the thing I must say, though, players will always slate the players because we would all give a lot, right? We'd walk we'd run through a brick wall, walk through fire to wear that shirt just once, and we'd give it our all. And when we perceive that players aren't, or that they don't seem bothered, but in the end of the day, they're professionals. So part of that means they've got to be sometimes dispassionate, i.e. play the game, not the occasion. But also, as much as we might criticize them and say, oh, do they really care as much as we do? They haven't had to pay £1,000 to get to the game. They've been paid thousands of pounds to appear at the game and play. But actually, and they'll go back to their mansion, they'll be happy, blah, blah, blah. But no one in that stadium will have felt worse about what had happened letting in that goal than Vicario himself. No one. Secondly, only to his mum and dad and his immediate family, right? But the fact that the fans are also showing vocally, just like you're saying, Josh, having this isn't up to scratch. This isn't acceptable. I think all of a sudden that, I'm not saying toxicity. And I'm not saying, going back to what you said, I'm not saying bullying's a good thing. All I'm just saying is maybe the players are, rather than saying, oh, we go again, back stronger, we'll work harder, put it right next week, maybe they're actually thinking, we need to actually live this. We can't just say it. We can't get our social media.
Thing is, like, if you remember, I don't know if you're at the Fulham game, Phil. I don't know if you're at the Fulham game, but everyone booed them in. And then they come out and we played well. We played well. We got back in the game with a kudos goal. So who's to say the booing's not helping them raise their game and letting them know there's a bottom here that is unacceptable. And it's not like we're booing every goal that goes in. It's not like we're booing every performance, but we're just letting them know this is not acceptable at this club. You're not a fan. You're a professional. You get paid by the club to come to work. We have to pay to come to the club. We don't get paid to come here. So we are the people that are going to be here. We've been here. Children have been here. Grandparents have been here. We've got family that have been at this club 20, 40, 50, 60, 100 years, whatever it is. You guys are here for 5 years, 3 years, 8 years. So we've got every right to let them know this is the bottom of, of the performance that you can deliver. So I haven't got a problem with it. I don't think it's fair to boo a player. I think that can kill a player. But then it's on the player to show character. And I have to big up Vic for coming out after the game and showing his face, because I didn't expect that.
Just a side note, guys, just to move away from this whole booing thing, because obviously that was the week before. Oh, not the week before. Yeah, it was the week before, wasn't it? Yeah. So this game, coming back to this game, Xavi's performance was exemplary. Everyone was talking how waxing lyrical, how great he was. He needs to start every game. I feel like that's the theme across many socials. Like, does anyone think then, if Xavi doesn't start, is that Frank going back to his old ways? And Marlon obviously spoke about it, our away form was without Xavi, those away wins that's happened have been like, the double pivot, the Bentancur and Paulinho, or a bit more physicality in midfield. I obviously we've seen that Xavi's physical, but does anyone think that he does backtrack and takes him out?
I don't think he can. I think like what Xavi, I think the whole thing with Xavi was that Frank thought, right, if I keep playing him, because his confidence was a little bit low. You can see it. It was in the performance. Yes, he grabbed the goal against Netherlands, but that's a completely different thing. And what was good about Xavi against Brentford, other than his goal, was that he showed that he's adapting really quickly. And I said this from the start. I think between him and Wirtz, Xavi will adapt more because Xavi's played in different. He's played in La Liga, he's played in France, and he's played in Germany. So he can adapt quicker to a new culture, a new way of playing. And what's in Xavi was he's learned not to wait for space. Like his body and his mind has kind of like gone quicker. He has to be more instinctive in the Premiership because it's faster. In the German league, he can stand, get the ball, and take his time. But in the Premiership, he knows that he doesn't have as much time. So now it's about, again, like his moves were like, as soon as he got the ball, pass, move, make that run, one-touch passing. And I think if he's doing that and Frank sees it, now I do think Frank's not going to play him every game. He needs rotation because let's not forget, he is the only number 10 Spurs have at this moment in time. So it's not like Frank can rotate him. So I think that maybe Frank will, might play him against Tuesday, and then might play Bergville on against Tottenham Forest. But again, it's just because you don't want Xavi to start getting a run of games and then he pulls a hamstring and he's out for ages. You want to keep him as fresh as possible. If Kuleveski was fit, if Madison was fit, then yeah, you could see Xavi playing more. But I think like Frank will play Xavi, but he will manage how he plays him. Because again, you don't want him to get an injury in the wrong place. And Frank has a squad to do it. Frank has a squad to rotate and get all those players playing in the same philosophy. Just don't change the formation.
Well, how does he rotate him? Like, I don't know if you're going to ask that, Marlon, but how would he, anyone can answer as well.
Yeah.
Like, how does he rotate if he's our only number 10?
Well, he played Bergville as a number 10. It's not Bergville doesn't want to play there, but because that's the thing, he can play Bergville, Sarr.
Because we played Bergville as a 10 for Fulham. And obviously, we lost that 2-0. It was,
but then, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's only if he's forced to, like the way he's rested Van de Ven against Newcastle. Everyone was surprised. You're like, what's he doing? But then Donzo stepped up, like Donzo handled because he was a better header of the ball. And I think that helps the players as well. If the manager's going right, because for years and years as Spurs fans, you were thinking they need better depth. Spurs, in a way, have better depth than they've had in a long time. Even, I would say, they have better depth than even Poch. So he can rotate. And if he does it right and does rotate, he keeps the players fit, he keeps the players fresh, and that's going to benefit him and the team.
The question, though, on that is, you say we've got good depth. Are we good enough? Are they good enough to have that depth, though? Like some of the players that some of the performances we have seen over the last month or so would suggest that our depth is not great and these players aren't the greatest.
Well,
yeah, at the moment, performances look like it might be a bit meh, doesn't it? Like the depth might be good, but the standard of players aren't good enough. But only time will tell, you know. This is where they've got to step up. I think the problem is, going back to your question, Ash, when they rotate, and Xavi, either because he hasn't been playing well enough to start or hasn't been trusted to start, whatever the situation is, we haven't been creative enough, right? And that's been one of the main challenges. And obviously, it's not all on him. Even when he's played, you can tell the team wasn't cohesive enough. He wasn't doing enough, but it was all sort of, it was feeding into each other negatively. Whereas on Saturday, it was all clicking a bit more. His speed of thought, one of you guys mentioned it a second ago, it looked like he'd realised he hasn't got that time. So he was moving it a bit quicker. But actually, for a guy of his size, I don't think the physicality piece is an issue. Although Frank did mention that he'd been working hard, didn't he? He mentioned gym. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he shouted it out, you'd imagine the guy has been putting the effort in. But look, I mean, I think you've just got to play him into a bit of form. You know, he's played well. I don't think you should drop him straight away, and he has shown. I mean, that tackle he put one on someone on the sideline in the first half, and he almost sent them into the hoardings, which is a good few meters away at Spurs these days. So he's got the physicality, I think, and he's got a little bit of bite about him. I think he's got to play. Now, I don't agree that Frank will definitely play him because Frank does some crazy stuff in his rotation, and we don't know what his energy expenditure.
All right, so Phil, would you rotate him for the Tuesday game? Would you not play him tomorrow and play him for Forest, or would you play him tomorrow and leave him out against Forest? That's what I want to know.
Well, I personally would keep him for Forest if you go him tomorrow, but I would almost look. Players prefer, you know, it's the old adage: players prefer playing to training, right? And if he's playing, you know, the man in possession of the shirt. I know everyone's got their own shirt numbers these days, but just say to him, "Look, you've got it now. Just go out and play." But no, if it was a choice, mate, 100%, not against who was even playing Slavia Prague.
Yeah. So I got a question for you.
I'm going right.
Yeah. So I got a question for all of you. This would be answer this one. Okay, so we've got. So you obviously said to play Xavi against Forest at the weekend. Would there be an element of actually that we should save our best teams now for the Premier League because we can clearly see we can't compete on all three fronts? And would you risk it to go, actually, we can get in the Champions League next year if we play our best team, especially the way the league's planning out? It's unlikely that we'll get any further in the Champions League.
You know what? Just quickly, the next 3 games are vital. We can't draw any of the next
league games as well, isn't there? Yeah, because we've got Forest, Liverpool, Palace, is it? After that?
Liverpool, Palace.
So in that
same thing. Champions League, if we drop any points, we're out.
Yeah.
Do you know,
so the question is,
we don't make it.
So the question for you, like you guys are, considering the way we are with injuries at the moment, what would you do in this situation if you were Frank?
Like I'll let everyone answer first. I've got an answer already, but
I'll go first, lad. So we are on the brink of qualifying into the next round of the Champions League. So for that reason and that reason only, you have to play your best team tomorrow, in my opinion, because if we lose tomorrow, draw away tomorrow, we've got a mountain to climb in the next Champions League game. And can someone remind me who that is? Because I don't know at the moment.
Slavia Prague tomorrow.
No, after that. Sorry, mate. After that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. I don't know who it is, whoever it is, but we want to be going into that game potentially thinking about rotating in that game week. I'm not sure who it is. Is it Monaco? I don't know.
No,
Whoever it is.
It's not for a while. I don't think it might be.
It's Frankfurt.
It's January. It's January.
Yeah, the end of January.
After, yeah.
Right. So then in that case, that confirms even more why we go tomorrow, best team. And you could start taking players off around 70 minutes. There's no rule that says you can't. So for me, you start Xavi tomorrow. Xavi's flying. Yeah, he's walking on air. There you go. So he's walking on air, Xavi. You start him tomorrow. You say, Xavi, go and put in another performance. If you get a goal or assist, even better. But go and show everyone what you're about, because that was a turning point performance. If you go back to Chelsea 6 weeks ago, we're all sitting there going, who is this bloke? Do you know what I mean? Who? Why is he called Xavi? Do you know what I mean? Where's the Xavi in Xavi Simmons? So, he's beefed up. He's a quick learner. He's a smart boy. The way he speaks, you can tell if someone's intelligent. He's an intelligent guy. He's got a bit of confidence, a bit of a chip. I like that. Top players have that. They have that kind of, I'm going to do this. And he came out after Chelsea, or a couple of games after Chelsea, and said, you know what? I love a challenge. I've never backed down on a challenge. You mentioned it earlier, guys, that he's played in different leagues. So tomorrow you start Xavi and you let him carry on, from the form we've seen from Brentford. Now you've got to win the game tomorrow. We win the game tomorrow, then we're cool till Jan. We've got players coming back, guys. We've got Kulusevski coming back. We've got Solanke coming back. I don't know what's happening with Basuma. I think there's some disciplinary thing going on there. I don't know what it is, but
he ain't never coming back.
He ain't coming back. Okay, so we can't rely on him. But you just keep playing this. You just keep playing this first 11 now. We can't put in a performance like this and then suddenly start. We need to use this as fuel. And if you look at Liverpool last season, yeah, they got lucky with injuries, but they kept picking the same 11 and they just kept going and churning out results. Hopefully, the next 3 games we can just stick to this 11. And one other point I want to make is, Frank deserves credit for the Richie and Colomwani combination. Like, we knew Kudos on the right was going to give us strength. We knew he was going to hold it up. We knew he was going to be good. And he has been. But on the left, we had a problem with Odeberg. We had a problem with Tell. Didn't really have the left sorted. He's managed to find a combo that's working up top. We saw that against Newcastle. We saw it against PSG. And we saw it on the weekend. So now we have a set front 3. I don't think anyone would change that front 3. I wouldn't. I'd leave it as it is at the moment. So we've got a front 3 that is getting to know each other better. Relationships. And I'm all about that. Because once players get to know each other, especially the fullbacks, with Kudos, whether it's Colomwani, that way you get the energy and the synergy on top of the effort and the hunger and all of that motivational stuff. You need those relationships. So we finally have a set 11. Looks like that he's found the team he wants to play. The only thing he's rotating is Bentancur, Polina and Gray and Bergwald. The rest picks itself. And isn't that a great place to be? Where the team picks itself? We've not had that all season.
Can we talk about Bentancur for a second? Do you think Bentancur, where are you on Bentancur?
I'll answer this because I have to go afterwards.
Go on.
It's so odd with Bentancur, because sometimes it's just odd. I think he's too safe, he's too slow, and he's defensive. But then he might play against Sparta Prague, and it's great. So then I came to the conclusion that I think Bentancur should play in the Champions League, where it's slower and a bit more technical. Polina should play in the Premiership, where it's a bit more feisty, because Polina is going to get into those challenges.
Well, wait, hold on. Didn't Bentancur play all right on the weekend?
No, that's all right. But there was a moment. There was a moment. Like,
we played better. Bentancur or Archie Gray? I want to know.
I think Archie Gray. There was a moment.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
No, Archie Gray played better.
Don't be silly. Do not be silly.
Yeah, because you don't like Archie Gray, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you don't like.
It's weird. You don't like Archie Gray, but you like Bentancur. I don't like Bentancur. I like Archie Gray. So this is going to be interesting. There was two incidents in the match, right? Newcastle that happened against. I think first half, Sarr played next to him. They're literally standing arm's length from each other, and they do a 1-2. And even the commentator went, "What was that all about?" Bentancur goes, "Give me the ball." Sarr passes it to him. Bentancur passes it back to him. He then goes, "Give me it again." No movement, no running. Against Fulham, he was walking. He walks. Now, that might not be a big problem, but in the middle of the midfield, it is, because when a midfield player like him is walking around, when he starts to get jogging, he's always going to be 1 second behind. Like against the with I believe that Palhinha, if you watch Palhinha, he's always moving. He's very ready walking. He's always in a jog, so he's ready for a sprint. So I think that Bentancur is best suited for Champions League, where it's more slower, a little bit technical, and Palhinha is more suited for the Premiership because he has a bit more bite. Of course,
but aren't people
them.
saying the problem with Palhinha is that he doesn't really pass it forward? He's not.
That's why I'd go the other way around. I'd play.
But that's fine, because that's why you have Bergville or Gray next to him, because they can be the one here making the passes, and then you have Xavi playing in number 10. Because Bentancur didn't really make much. When was the last time Bentancur made a ball splitting pass that opened everything up? I think even against Newcastle or Brentford, he started running and he lost the ball. I think it's the injury plays a huge part. I just don't think Bentancur is a player we first.
All right, so
saw.
you would sell him, right? You would buy Palhinha and you would sell Bentancur.
Well, the question is, if there was a case, yes. If it was up, because remember we asked this question last season.
Does anyone disagree with Warren at the moment? Like, does anyone think that Archie Gray was better than Bentancur?
Well, Marlon, look at him, go Marlon. No one.
Mate, no, Archie. Look, I'm not. Look, Archie Gray had a good week. I'm going to be nice to him. He can have a week off.
It can be nice to him.
I look, Oren, you're not alone.
Go on. Marlon, you look so sheepish as you're giving him those flowers.
He hates it. Marlon, did you know that Archie Gray used to support Arsenal?
I know he didn't.
Come on, what's going on here?
Hey, anyway, we've only bought Archie Gray to get his brother Harry, because Harry's the better player. So,
old as Harry, 16.
16, I think, yeah.
I want to hear Josh's opinion on Bentancur. Like, what's your feelings on that?
I think he's more creative than Palhinha, guys, but we are talking bottom of the bucket stuff here, you know what I mean? So I have to use the word creative with care, because I see, look, Bentancur can string a few passes together. He can knit a few passes together, right? He's got a tackle in him. But is he the 6 I want there for the next 5 years? No, he's not. Is he the 6 I want there for the rest of the season? I'm going to have to live with that one, because he signed a new contract and he probably will be there for another 5 years, because I don't know how long this contract is. But I just think we talked about creativity with Xavi. Xavi probably looks better because he had Gray and Bentancur behind him on the weekend rather than Palhinha and Bentancur behind him.
Agree.
If the pass comes in quicker, you've got more time. I'm sure all of you played football or still do. If your pass comes in quick and hard and crisp, you've got an extra second to make your pass. Phil mentioned we were passing the ball quicker. That's just not passing it quicker. That's also successfully passing it quicker. So then if you've successfully passed the ball quicker, which means you found your man, everything knits together better and quicker up the pitch. And that's why Xavi looked better on the weekend, because he's getting more time to then do his part. And it all links up, doesn't it, from back to front? So for me, Palhinha hasn't got the crisp, accurate passing that I'm looking for in a number 6. He just hasn't got it. But if you look at someone like Caicedo or Rice, that's the level we want, guys. But are we going to spend 100 bags for it? We're not, because Spurs don't spend £100 million on players. We sell players for £100 million. So in my opinion, that's what we're stuck with. And both of them lack creativity, but I think Bentancur's got more creativity than Palhinha. So I will play Bentancur in the Premier League like we did on the weekend with Gray or Bergvall, and I will play Palhinha against the Champions League teams. But where I would play Palhinha is if we're up against a really difficult press, a team that's attacking us, and where we need someone to just be a wall. Then yeah, Palhinha's got he's talented in that sense. But Palhinha also gives you goals. He's given us some good goals. The goal against Wolves. So he has got attacking threat more than Bentancur. So, it's a toss. It's a 50-50, and it's a good question. But in my opinion, Bentancur gives us more creativity. So I will play him in the Palhinha.
I'm really not sure about Bentancur. When he first came, he made such a difference. He's obviously had major injury issues. So you've got to allow for that. But he's got a lot to prove to me. I mean, we were chasing, I cannot remember which game it was that we were losing, but it was a game we were losing at home. and I'm not sure he ever passed forwards the whole time. It was all side to side to side to back, and I was just, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I do think
is this an instruction though, or was that him? What
That
did
was
you
him.
get from a
He
manager?
doesn't-
Or
Yeah,
do you
but
think
actually, go. It's a bit like, I understand the question, but I'm not going to answer it. It's a bit like, I know it's your show, but no, listen,
No.
it's a bit like
no?
no, it's a bit like sometimes if where I was anti-Levy just for any avoidance of doubt, right? But in a way, sometimes rather than saying Levy did this, Levy did that, look, just don't be divisive about this. Just say we, the club, Spurs, whatever. It doesn't matter what the it's the result. We're in a results-based business, right? Well, we aren't. We're watching a results-based business, but the fans are playing a part, as we've discussed earlier. It doesn't matter whether Bentancur's been given an instruction or it's just him on his own doing that. The net result is the guy didn't pass forward. Now, look, he's got something about him, but he just needs to be more consistent with it. But look, I'm not writing him off just yet, but every play is after the Chelsea and the Arsenal game. In the end of the day, they've got still a lot of ground to make up for, and he was in that. So he's been at the club for a few years, and there's been a lot of no-shows. We're on our worst run of results against Woolwich in a long time, and there's been a bigger gulf in quality between us and them over the years than there is now, right? So all the players are on notice. You've all got to fix up. But on the Bentancur piece, me personally, I prefer Paulinho, even though I completely understand, Josh, your reasoning. It is logical, the fact that he would do more. I just think we were crying out for a 6 like Paulinho for a long time, and now we've got him. It might just be a horses for courses thing. I do think, though, we as a fan base have blamed that partnership together for a lot of our ills. And even though it is a bit of a stodge fest and it is a little bit, it's a bit Brexit football when they're both playing together, it seems. Now, again, whether it's instruction or how they sort of mesh together, I don't know. But I think the general play of the team hasn't been where it needed to be. And you can't just blame those two players for that. The whole thing fell apart. But going back, it is about relationships. So maybe just that relationship hasn't performed well enough. Maybe they were both too defensive. Maybe that was the instruction. Who knows? If I was going to pick one, it depends. Horses for courses.
All right.
If it's Forest,
if Paulinho played against Brentford, do you think we played the same way as we did?
Because he can't. Yeah.
If it was who, sorry, Ash?
If Paulinho played with Archie Gray on the weekend, do you think we play the same way? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
What did Bentancur do different?
Gave it to your mate, Archie Gray.
You what?
You gave it to your mate, Archie Gray.
Look, after the shaky start, he did play well. He did play well. But this the weird thing. The flip was, on Saturday, you could probably say, did any of our players get less than a 7 out of 10? You'd have to be probably harsh to say anyone was less than 7 out of 10. Whereas most other games, you're turning around and we could all argue about it. Oh, he should have been taken off before him. They could all have been benched. Any of the players against Arsenal could have got benched the next game or been hooked. Because it was a case of you've had a stinker, you're hooked, get out. You're rubbish.
All right, so
no one could have really argued the toss.
Are we saying then our best midfield, Oren, is Paulinho, Archie Gray, and Xavi? Is that our best midfield then? Is that what we're saying?
I wouldn't say it's the best midfield. I'd say.
Okay, Paulinho, Bergvall, and Xavi.
That's the thing. I think Paulinho, yes, it could either be Gray or Bergvall, and then Xavi. Either
that's
or.
what I'm asking. That's what
I'm saying. That's what I would say it is but that's again looking at Bentancur and thinking, what does he actually like? Paulinho, yes, Passing wise, he's not the best, but he's an enforcer. He breaks things up.
But do you not think that on Saturday, and it was quite evident when Paulinho came on, and I think you quoted it earlier on the show, on the show, is that actually we were moving the ball a lot more quicker when Bentancur was on the field compared to when Paulinho came on.
Well, Paulinho was, again, when he came on, I think Spurs probably thought to sit back and they didn't have to go full force at that time. But he was still winning challenges. Against Arsenal, for example, I would say Paulinho was the only player that played with intensity. It was his tackle up the pitch which led to Richarlison.
Yeah, but Arsenal and Brentford are completely two different.
No, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
you can't compare. You can't compare.
No. What I'm saying is, if Paulinho is willing to do that against Arsenal, he's willing to do that. That's just who he is. He's always making challenges. He's always going to go for those tackles.
Yeah, but
break things up.
But of course, but
yeah,
on
he's number 6.
Saturday, he's not asked to make a challenge against Brentford. Like everyone said, we had to move the ball more quicker, which is where Bentancur came into play, because Archie Gray was unable to play his way. And I think a lot of people haven't noticed this yet, or they might have done, but Xavi basically took 2 steps back and came to pick up the ball slightly deeper than he had done in previous games.
Mm-hmm. Which is good. Which is what he's...
The question is, if Paulinho plays, which Ash is asking, does the ball get moved as quickly because Bentancur is better on the ball than what Paulinho is? That's the question. And look, against Arsenal,
I'm trying to think what great pass did I see Bentancur do on
It's not about the great passing. It's more about that he moved
passing it sideways.
No, but he moved the ball quicker into Gray and into Xavi because that's the way he plays. It doesn't matter if it was a great pass, he was able to find them quicker, which meant that Brentford weren't able to set. Where Paulinho, if he plays, he doesn't move the ball as quick, which means Brentford could set in their midfield, which means everyone's going to be looking at Xavi and Gray going, why are they playing for?
Well, in order to make that full statement, I'd have to see Paulinho with Gray and Xavi.
Yeah,
first.
Of course.
You know,
I'm basing it off the games I've seen Paulinho in. Because I know he doesn't.
The only games I've seen him in is when he's probably next to Bentancur, and I think the odd time he's up next to like Xavi and Bergville and Gray when they've asked him to push up. So maybe he hasn't had the option to pass. Okay. But if Frank plays the system that he plays and keeps it that way against, for the next to get the players up, I think you will see that Paulinho is capable of making the passes because he offers a goal threat as well.
Yeah, we're not saying he can't make the pass, but can he make it quicker than what Ben's got? And can he move the ball quicker? And which we haven't seen. He's never done that at Fulham. He never done it at Bayern. That's why a lot of people call him. Well, that's why Jamie Carragher did call him out on it. And
he called both. He said he called both.
But every chance that one of them has been taken out, I've noticed that Bentancur is being picked over Paulinho.
Yeah.
This is Frank now.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
But maybe that's something they've got to experiment then with, Marlon. We've got to try that out. And maybe, like we're talking about Xavi, we've got to rotate those players in and out and see, right, Paul, you've been given the nod today. You've now got to, do what you do best. He's turned sliding tackling into an art form. But you've actually got to now move the ball quickly as well once we've got it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It might be.
I think one of the key points.
Sorry, just before you go,
used to say to Wilson Palacios, win the ball, Wilson, and give it to Modric.
Yeah.
And he remembers once Wilson Palacios won it back in a left back position, and Luka Modric was the other side of the pitch, and he's tried a 60-yard diag to try and find him. It didn't come off. But he was the only player who was allowed to pass to. Yeah. So maybe we just need to break it down to these players like that. But I think maybe that's what will happen. They'll start rotating those guys around. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to have to shoot on here. Great chat. Hopefully Spurs get a win tomorrow and see you guys next Tuesday. Or sorry, Monday.
Yeah, man.
Big up.
Guys, can I just make a point on that? So look, if you think about it, both sides of the game, every manager has to drill his team to be able to counter press and break down a low block. There is no manager in the Premier League that can get away without his team being able to deal with a high press, whether that's Chelsea at home or Bournemouth at home this season, or where it's breaking down a low block, right? Or 2-0 down to Fulham and you've got to break down a 5-man midfield. So those are the basis of football management is how do we counter press and how do we break down the low block. You can then throw in your corners and set pieces and all the other extras. When you're playing a team like Brentford, who are probably going to adopt a mid block, they're not going to throw 5 people up, right? 5 players up, which is what we did. You don't need Palini in the team.
It's true.
You're wasting him. You might as well rest his leg. Tomorrow, we're away at a very hostile ground, right? You probably need a leader, a destroyer, and someone who's going to be there as the last man in defense, almost like a third centre back when we're up against it. Because we might let heads drop tomorrow because of the atmosphere and all that good stuff. Being away from home. And I know we've been good away from home, but because it's a different
at
air.
home, Josh, tomorrow.
Oh, he's at home tomorrow. My bad. Okay.
Yeah,
well, if it's at home tomorrow,
you know what the home fans are like, mate. It could get hostile.
It could get hostile if we go 1-0 down. So I would have played him if we were away tomorrow. I know we've got to keep legs fresh and everything, but I'm picking that same team, lads. I'm saying to the same team you played 48 hours ago, whatever it is, 72 hours ago.
We just know Frank's not going to do that. We know
Frank's not going to do that. But that's what I would do on the basis that then on the weekend he rotates. But you guys all make a fair point. How do you rotate this team? Destiny's out. Xavi's only number 10. So yeah, play Palhinha tomorrow. But my point is, when we're being pressed, Palhinha is probably better than Bentancur. You know, when we're being pressed in the sense that he can destroy. But once we've got the ball, you want to give it to Bentancur because Bentancur's got the dribbling, the silk, the technique. That's better than Palhinha. So, and you can't play both of them because that don't work. We've tried that this season. That's out the window.
Would anyone start Odobert tomorrow? Or obviously Tel's not available.
I think he should. It depends what Moani's issue was. But you know what I liked the other day, I thought, obviously, we've already talked about the general chemistry of the team was much better. Yeah. But Moani, I think his ability and the way he was playing, and just maybe the fact that Jed thought, if I go now, I might actually get the ball back. It gave Jed the confidence to go beyond and run beyond. And actually, they were getting a lot of joy. Those two were getting a lot of joy. And I liked what they were producing together. In both areas, they were pressing well, but they were going. But in a weird way, though, we're talking about trying to progress the ball, and is Palhinha the one for that? In a way, surely Palhinha being more defensively minded, maybe you play him when we should attack more because everyone else can go, and maybe just leave the defensive side of the game up to Mickey, Palhinha, and Romero.
Yeah, I think I want to go
passing,
but is that too many?
Back to Romero, and Romero's got the ability to do the progressive passing through the lines.
But guys, the thing is with if you look at Brentford, we had Porro and Spence in line with Kudus and Moani. If you look at the heat maps, they were actually in line with them. So we literally had like 5 at the top, and then you had Van der Ven and Romero at the back. If Palhinha is there at the back, I get the whole thing of let everyone bomb on forward, but when we're passing out the back, which we did more against Brentford, Palhinha is going to struggle in that system. You know what I mean? If you're going long, which we've been doing all season, bits, more often than I would prefer us to go long. We've been going long too much, if you ask me. And when we have been going long this season, I've not seen Frank screaming on the touchline saying, stop going long, like Ange used to scream on the touchline. He seems to be all right with it. I don't know why. And this is why I don't get the whole thing of it's not Frank's fault that the team's not being creative. Well, why haven't you been yelling and stopping them from going long? Why have you just stood there and accepted it? So I think Frank's wanted that way of winning, but he's realised through the boos and all the stuff we've talked about earlier today that is not the way you win with controlling the game against the weaker oppositions. We'll only accept that one every 6 or 7 games when we're up against away to a difficult team. So Josh, coming back to that,
you can see it on the passing maps here. I've just
got all right, go on.
Yeah. And you can see Bentancur's in between Van der Ven, who's 37, and 17 Romero. Number 30 is Bentancur.
Who's on the left? Is that
on the left? We've got 14, which is Archie Gray. 24, which is
who's the blue? Is that Bentancur?
Bentancur's in between the middle of them. He's number 30, but Bentancur's 30, number 30. On the left,
in the colours, what's the difference? Is there different games?
No. On the right is Brentford.
Right. Okay.
The pink is Brentford. The right is Brentford, and the left is Spurs. So you can see Archie Gray's pulled off as a left 8, and then you've got Xavi Simons, number 7, centrally, and he's making a triangle with Kudos, and Porro. And I think them two, they're our most technical players, and they're playing a lot closer to each other. Obviously, they had freedom to roam as well, so they wasn't tied to a particular side, and that kind of made a little difference. But then above Jed Spence, you've also got Moani, so you've got a relationship with 3 players on the left between Archie Gray, Jed Spence, and Moani, and then on the right-hand side, you've got Xavi Simmons, you've got Kudos, and Porro on the right-hand side. So you've got 3 players, you've got different relationships there. But as you said, the manager's asking them to go long at times, but then when we're asserting ourselves in the final third, you're seeing these little triangles start to appear. And Bentancur sometimes will sit and add a bit of protection, but there was times when he went further forward. Here's our shot map as well, where we were taking shots, a lot more shots inside the box. And we know Frank's more of a manager. He wants to get the shots close to goal. He's really big on that.
Yeah, whoever's shooting from outside the box, they probably didn't get ketchup on their burger.
There's some blue marks there that we did take some shots outside the box. They weren't successful. Like we saw Xavi take a shot from outside the box and went waiting to Rose Ed. Do you know what I'm saying? There was a few shots that Archie Gray took. Other people took shots. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying this is
who's the madman who shot from the edge of the area about 30 yards out on the left. That's got to be a free kick, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember who did that one.
But actually, what Josh was saying there, though, with that, I know it wasn't a heat back, but the passing formations there, we're much more likely to win the ball back when we've gone long.
Yeah.
And that showed perfectly. We were playing it out through the lines much better because there was more one touch. If it was played into, say, Porro or Romero, Van der Ven, they were able to pop it off first time to Bentancur or vice versa. So we were moving through that area of their press quicker. But when we did go long, if you're going long at the Emirates, there was no one within 20 yards in Lillywhite of Richarlison. So even if he did win it, it was going straight back anyway.
That game was just a shit game all over, wasn't it?
There, because it had the close proximity to Richarlison, Mawani, Spence, and even then Gray coming up into that half of the pitch as well. Yeah. We're much more likely to retain possession when it has gone long.
But look at that map there, as you've put, right? We split the centre backs, right? Is that Romero and on the right, and who's on the left? Is that?
Yeah. Romero's on the right. You've got Van der Ven on the left.
So who would you rather the keeper looking at now, Bentancur or Paulinho, if you're trying to play the ball out?
This is what I'm trying to get to. This is what Marlon's talking about. So when
I agree with him,
Bentancur dropping in here, and I showed it on that passing map as well. You see Bentancur drop in, and his first thought is, can I get it back to Romero? Do you know what I'm saying? And Romero can then punch through the lines or pass to his right, which he normally does, into Porro. And Porro then looks for Kudos down the line. And that's when we start to go along because we're trying to evade their press. So I thought that's what we did a little bit better when we were trying to build out from the back because we hadn't seen us play out from the back and be successful. And in that particular clip there, and even here, I'm showing triangles. We're a lot closer to each other. When Brentford were trying to give us a mid to low block, you can see the players, you can see the triangles a lot more smaller. Before I was talking about in other games, we had big triangles. The spaces were too far, too wide apart. And we didn't really assert ourselves on other teams. But as you can see here, the relationship, we've got Romero on the ball, as you can see circled. And then you've got Van der Ven tucking in. You know what I'm saying? A lot closer to him. And at the top of it, you've got Xavi right there as well, like looking to receive that ball. The top of it as well here, Richarlison, he's the focal point, but you can see 3 clear triangles and passing proximities in that area right there. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was a little bit different to what we saw. Again, when we're pressing, we're doing a 3-man press here, actually 4-man. I'm not even showing it here because our pictures are taken up, but Archie Gray is involved in the press as well. So at times we were a 4-2-4, pressing aggressively where you saw Richarlison press the goalkeeper at times, and we were trying to be on the front foot. At times it did get...
We almost got him a couple of times as well.
Coming on to. So when it did get through that press, when they did beat our press, then you'd see Bentancur would be the isolated number 6 by himself with the 4 players behind him, as you've mentioned, because sometimes they can beat that press, as you've seen here. I've circled there. But here, again, we would press. Sometimes you'd see Porro be aggressive and he'd go out wide, and Kudos will be the next one to follow. And then Bentancur, as I showed in that map, he's that number 6. He would sometimes bump onto like one of their forward players in Kevin Schade. You know what I'm saying? He'll be the one to mark their winger, and we'll pull across. So it's something slightly different here, what I'm showing here when we need to defend. But I've circled out how many numbers we were committing forward. I showed it earlier in that triangle, but again, we're committing a lot more bodies forward. And as I showed before, sometimes that would be beaten because Archie Gray was high up. Sometimes his defending went missing. Do you know what I mean? When he did press, they would bypass it. And that, as you spoke about earlier, Phil, they got a shot on goal off the back of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Here you can see central progression. You're seeing Kudos drop central a lot more now, and Xavi Simons also dropping central. You're seeing them two combine together because they're central. We wasn't seeing that before. We're seeing either Simons start a lot higher up, here's a lot deeper, and Kudos used to hug that touchline. This time, Kudos got the freedom to kind of join the attack, go further up, and join us, and that helped us in that central progression.
Ash, do you think that was a Frank instruction to have those guys freer and interchanging and switching? Because I felt like I saw, we mentioned fluidity. Fluidity comes from freedom as well, you know, to be fluid. Do you think that was an instruction as well? Do you think that's something Frank's trained this week?
I think it's a mix. I think some of the players are comfortable. I don't think he gives too much input in terms of like allowing the players to be free. Like if freedom means giving the creativity to the players, do you understand? Some things are patterns of play, and I'll go into it with the actual goal. I thought the goal was a pattern of play.
But it's almost like he said to Kudos, you don't have to hug the touchline.
Yeah. I think even with Jed Spence is suited more when he's tucked in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I know we don't like the inverted fullback, but I think for his profile, because he is right-footed, him drifting into central spaces makes more sense. And then Moani is a bit more comfortable pulling out wide, and that gives space to look. You can see, look, Kudos is next to him. Do you know what I'm saying? Look how close he is. And I was putting an arrow there because I wanted Jed Spence to run in behind. I'm thinking if Jed Spence runs in behind, that opens up another space for like maybe Xavi Simons, do you know what I'm saying, to get more time on the ball. So I want some of those players breaking forward and creating more havoc.
Which is what the better teams do all the time, consistently.
Exactly, but you're going to need those times on the coaching pitch to kind of draw that into the players. I thought here you've got Kudos on the ball. I'm like, can he find Moani? Because Moani's now swapping over with Jed Spence. Like, there's no longer, Moani out wide. Now you're seeing Moani as a striker, as a secondary striker, and you're seeing them rotate here. And I'm like, raw, could you do a little 1-2? Could Kudos run into that little space, that little pocket there, and create havoc that way? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at these little moments here. Another thing I noticed here, like, look how high the centre backs are, and it's just two of them. Normally it's three. Normally you've got Porro alongside Van der Ven and Romero making the back three, but because Porro's allowed to go higher up, he's now running back, and this is the actual goal. He's actually dropped back into that position, and then you've seen I've circled Simons, because Simons goes across and then he starts to spin off Yarmolenko, and then look, you've got Porro wide. Porro gets his head up, and you can't see it, but on the touchline, Frank's waving like, do it. He's actually waving like, saying, "Raw, put that ball in behind." It's sick, bro. So then when he's got that ball now, he plays that ball over the top. This is a Frank play. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Simons runs into the space, he runs it down the channel, and they haven't picked it up because they're used to like Kudos running down that channel. But now it's Simons, like no one's seen that coming, and it's an easy.
But that was so great to see, guys, because how many times have we said this season that we just go down the flanks and cross?
Yeah.
And that's been our template. And every opposition manager's looked at and gone, stop Spurs down the wings, and you stop Tottenham. How many central goals have we scored this season without being a second ball win with Polina smashing it into the corner? How many footballing goals have we seen this season? That was a pure footballing goal. And that reminded me of the Man City goal when Johnson scored when Richie crossed it. So it's great to see that Frank is, learning from his mistakes or trying to improve areas that needed improvement. And anyone who's calling Frank out, you can't at the moment based on that performance, because he fixed a lot in that performance, like these screenshots you're going through now.
Yeah, here's us. Go on, Phil. Go on.
The other thing I was going to say, though, Ash, as well, with the more fluid nature of the performance and the movements that you've just shown with all these screenshots, normally, like you're saying, Josh, the defending team would know, right, the fullback is sticking on Kudos like glue, right? But someone else will come and double up on him. But if Kudos is coming in and wandering all the way around the pitch in to the centre circle to be near Xavi and almost in the other one all the way across, suddenly the fullback's going to think, I'd love to have seen on that before Xavi's curved and set off for his run, and Frank's going, go, 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 and Porro played the ball. Where was Kudos? I bet Kudos had pulled out to create the space, and then there's a whole lane, a huge bit of real estate for Porro to find. And obviously, look, Xavi still had a lot of work to do. But that was one of the other things that impressed me with Xavi, not only his intelligence and the fact that his speed of thought seemed to be much better, but he showed a bit of pace with both goals.
Just on that, Phil, Yarmolenko was a midfielder. He was the one marking him. So the fullback was occupied by Kudos. Do you understand? And he was asked to man mark him, touch tight, go wherever Xavi goes. So when Xavi's drifting deep, Yarmolenko's following. But then Xavi knows the space is in behind because he's followed him in deep. Hence why he went across and curved his run and then behind and knew the space was there to attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So that's basically what's happening. It's not like it was a fullback versus a fullback on Xavi. No, it was one of them midfielders.
But this is where like unpredictability comes from, doesn't it? From being unpredictable. And I think most fans will, we've seen a lot of predictive combinations and rotations this season. This was the one game where actually I didn't know what was going on. I've just been seeing the same templates. And the Brentford players didn't know what's going on. And you guys mentioned a great point there. Look at after the game, I don't know if you can shut and Sofa score now, but if you look at the heat map of Kudos, look at the heat map, he's almost, like you say, central.
Yeah.
He's central to play. And I actually think, I've been saying this for a good few weeks, I don't think we should play him on the right. I mean, it's okay to play him on the right, but I think he will do more damage closer to the penalty spot or playing as a second striker. I actually think Kudos is that good. I actually think, I'm not sure he's an out-and-out winger. He's more an inverted winger that can hold the ball up and cause damage closer to the penalty spot. And he did that on the day. And he's been doing that in the last few games.
I think when he's a winger, he's more head down, more direct. He's got to take on one or two players and forces them down certain alleys. But you're right. When he's a bit more central, he's forced to kind of link up with his teammates, make decisions quicker, find those passes.
Listen, he's quick.
Unpredictable. But I don't mind that he starts right and then drifts in, because then tactically a player he doesn't want to follow him inside those parts. Do you understand? You're like, well, I'm a left back. What am I doing all the way in midfield?
It's like Salah, right? If Salah spent his whole career on the touchline, he would be half as effective.
yeah.
But listen, that guy's he's always been creative. He's always putting stats up. His social media team are the same. So big up.
Even for Ajax
as well. Ash, but don't you think though, exactly what you're saying about Kudos on the one side, Mawani's doing the same on the other. So the fullbacks are thinking, having to constantly think, what am I doing? The last thing you want to be doing as a defender is thinking, is he going inside? Is he going outside?
Yeah.
Both far in. Do I go with him? And now Xavi's making his runs beyond, and Porro's making the runs beyond on this side. Spencer's making a run beyond the other side. Yeah. So straight away, all this fluidity, all this, giving the defenders another read. It's a bit like American football. You always say if you're a passing team or you're a running team,
American throwball.
Exactly. You've got to mix it up. Otherwise, you'll just defend. Look, if a team's really good at one form of attack, you defend against that and you've got them locked down. And obviously that still does tend to be the case. But by giving them another look on something else, and by these wingers, by the attackers that are set out wide, coming inside and attacking that way as well, it will be more hard to defend against, because you're not just saying, okay, double up against Kudos there, because actually if he comes in and you've not just got one player on him, you've got two players on him, then you've got even more space somewhere else on the pitch.
You know,
Yeah.
I've just seen those comments there. The thing about Kudos, just one thing on him is he can cross really well, and he's probably one of our. He's
Yeah.
the best outlet in the team, isn't he? So you
Yeah.
kind of want him on the touchline for that. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Like you want him there to
No,
provide
that's
the
what I'm
width.
saying. For me, he starts on the right, but you give him license to roam. Simple
Yeah.
as that. You understand?
Yeah,
That
and
kind
you
of-
allow Porro to overlap because he's got a wicked cross. In fact, the right-hand side is where a lot of our creativity can come from, and it did for that goal.
Yeah.
You know, because we've got two crosses there.
You got Bentancur again dropping in this pocket, and it's a shame that Oren's not here now, because this is where he breaks away and he gets up the pitch and he dries up. It's reminding me of the old Bentancur, and then he finds Simmons and he says, "Simmons, go on, do what you do best." And I didn't show the rest of the clip, but he passes it to Kudos, links up, they do like a 1-2, and then as it goes to Kudos, it goes off for a corner because they managed to block the cross. But and there was another moment they did it again, where it breaks to Richie, and Richie controls it on his chest, volleys it, and hits a player. Doesn't quite come off, but again, like it's from Bentancur's invention, dropping from deep in between the two centre backs, and then driving up the pitch and just becoming more direct. Do you know what I mean? What was I showing here on this bit? I think I was just showing us again Bentancur again. It's just another example. Bentancur driving from deep, setting off our attacks. This is the second half. You can see me putting the arrow where the where it is. You can see him go to Jed Spence. Spence finds Moani, as you said. Moani sometimes peeling off. He tries to do like a little back flick. It doesn't quite come off, but then Jed Spence chasing lost causes, managed to win that ball back. I thought he had an exceptional game as well. And I think on another day, Jed Spence,
he slots, doesn't he?
That in, do you know what I'm saying? He either dinks it or he puts it in the corner. Well, obviously, he just hits it right at the keeper. But I just thought that again was just my point, that Bentancur driving from deep, taking it off the fullback centre backs. He's the one that makes it happen here.
And Paulinho won't be able to do that. I'm sorry.
We haven't really seen much evidence of Paulinho doing that in the Spurs shot at the moment. Here,
I've seen enough, man.
Mickey van der Ven, this is what I like a little bit different. He's punching the ball like Romero here. He's actually made the forward pass. As he's made that forward pass, Richie does well. To be fair, he looks after it and he lays it off to Simmons. You know what I'm saying? Simmons picks up, or Simons, whatever you want to call him, picks up the ball.
Richie's hold-up play was 100 times better than his normal output.
Much better. Like, I'm not a Richie fan, but he wasn't falling on his back. Normally, he gets the ball, he feels something, he wants to fall over.
But guys, on hold-up, we've now got 3 hold-up players up top.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
We've not had that all season.
Yeah.
We've not had that all season.
So Simmons here, he's starting to drive the ball into that midfield, gets his head up, and then he actually finds Kudos there on that right-hand side. And like again, we
should have scored from this move as well. Again, I think.
Yeah, so many moves here. We're looking so different. But again, it goes to that point where Marlon was saying, obviously, Brentford did come on to us a little bit, and that's when the space was created. But some of these runs were made from deep, and then that's when we exploited. We were making the right decisions in these final thirds.
But remember, in this phase of the game, second half,
yeah,
they're having to come on to us because they're 2-0 down, right?
I also think we did beat the press a little bit because we were tiring a bit. So I think we were sitting back in a 4-4-2 block. And then when the time was right, we would pounce and we'd have these artificial, I call them counterattacks, in my opinion. Again, another chance here. Jed Spence breaks in. He actually picks out.
Yeah, it should have been a goal.
With his left foot as well.
Yeah. Obviously, he's not left foot. He goes for his right foot, but it's slightly in his defense behind him, as you can see here. Body shape's a bit wrong, slightly behind him. It gets underneath his foot, as you can see there. And then he's had to take a touch because I think if it was in front of him, he could run.
You know what, lads? I don't think he expected that ball.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. But even still, he takes a touch, still has a decision to make, and he hits it right at him. I doesn't show it properly, but yeah.
Where's the Pape Sarr from pre-season gone, lads? He would have slotted that in normally.
This is it, man. I mean, like, if there's one midfielder, we have to.
He just couldn't get his shot quick enough.
Is there a conversation for Bentancur and Pape Sarr to be our go-to pairing, and then it's Xavi or Bergvall? We mentioned before, if we don't play Xavi, who do we play? Is it Pape? It's not Bentancur, Paulinho. I think most of us can agree that. So is it going to be Bentancur and Sarr or Gray, and then it's Bergvall or Xavi for the foreseeable future? Is that the competition now?
Maybe.
Is that the combo? Because
I think
I'm wondering where does Sarr really fit in?
I think Sarr should have started majority of games early season, and actually, first season under Ange, I think a lot of our legs came and
Yep.
when we played well, it was because Sarr was playing well. But I don't know, just sometimes his technical it looked like that showed. Obviously, it was a bit behind him, like you're saying, Ash. But I think just sometimes his technical level lets him down a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
I think Marlon, you can answer this as well, but I just think Sarr start of the season was amazing, and then his Basuma. I thought Basuma was his right hand, ride or die. That's what I thought.
Yep.
And then obviously Basuma's doing nonsense. Then his brethren died as well. Someone that he was close to also died, and remember he had to take time off. Also had a knock and an injury, but again, it's excuses. Right now, he's been in the squad long enough. He's had that season out when he was out on loan. We loaned him out when we first got him. We put him back on loan straight away. Then he came back. I remember it was between him and Oliver Skip. Conte chose Skip. Had to fight his way back in. And came in, used him. And Basuma had a partnership. And then now, I remember Madison in his documentary even saying, "Yo, Sarr, minimum, I need 10 racks from you. I need 10 goals." Yeah, what are you saying? And Sarr started laughing like, ha, 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 ha. But he's like, "No, I'm being serious. You know, like we love to joke, but I'm being serious, man. My guy, I want 10 goals from you this season." And so I don't know, like it's been. I have to agree with you. Technical flaw, it's not there for me for Sarr at the moment.
Do you know what? I think he's a player you bring on to protect a scoreline, and that's what he's going to be this season. I'm not sure he's going. I don't think he's going to start many, man. I think he's going to protect more than go with him to start more often than not.
Sarr grey, bro.
Depends on the situation. Depends who we're playing.
Mate, that is deep. That's cut Sarr deep. The fact that you haven't backed him over your non-boy Gray.
No, because the problem is with Sarr is that he can't pass. He's on the ball. He's terrible, and this system relies a lot on, as we saw on the weekend, somebody to be a passer of the ball. And if you're going to play Xavi, you need.
But he's erratic, isn't he, Marlon? Because sometimes you think like the goal he got last season against City in the Cup, unbelievable. Set out by the post from 20 yards out, brilliant. Yeah. He was the one that crossed when we smashed Villa away end of the season before last. Yeah. And won 4-0. It was his brilliant cross that Madders hit in. And you just think he's got it in his locker, but it's just so inconsistent. Like
he's got the ghosty runs, hasn't he?
Exactly. Pre-season and then start of the season, you'd have said he was probably the most improved player since Frank had come in. But then, as you're saying, Ash, maybe these other influences have affected him, or he's been injured, he hasn't been able to play, and now maybe he's down the pecking order. But unfortunately, this is a downside of football. You're not always going to be fit, and you're not always going to be on good form, and sometimes you have got to just,
Salah,
strap in for a hard ride, but go again and keep showing it in training, being consistent. It's every day, isn't it?
Would you start
every day for them force the manager's hand to keep you in the starting 11?
Would you start him against Slavia Prague, Champions League?
I probably would actually, because he's got the legs, got the energy.
Yep.
So he can bring that and mirror that from the weekend. But then, give some of the other players a rest.
Some of his best games for us last year were in the Europa League run. Like, a lot of people won't remember this, but if you go watch the highlights back, he was involved in a lot of the goals in the early stages of the round.
Marlon, I'm never going back. I can't.
Yeah, but I think he's more. I think he's more suited for European football than he is Premier League, because he doesn't have to be technically good on the ball. I know that's a really strange thing to say, but why we play these teams that are mediocre and will give us space, maybe this is where Sarr.
Also, it's a perfect situation, isn't it? We're talking about the squad, and we're talking about people laying claim to places. Give him the ability to play minutes in that, so then you're throwing him a bone, you're giving him the opportunity to prove himself, but then at the same time, you're resting some of the other players. And then if he plays well, then you've got a decision to make.
So
quickly, players keep coming in above each other to say, "Oh, I've played well this game." So now, if he picks you for the Premier League on Saturday, you've got to outdo what I've done. Otherwise, I'm going to get the next game in the Prem.
All right. So Phil, so what's your midfield tomorrow? What's your midfield for Tuesday?
Right. So for tomorrow, I like what you were saying, Josh, about starting exactly the same. But I probably would think about this now. Surely we'd have enough quality with Sarr. Now, I'd maybe still rest. I would say it might be too gung ho, but I'd maybe go Sarr, Bergvall, and Xavi, and just say, look, there's enough legs in there. The younger lads will have enthusiasm, but Bergvall and Xavi should have the technical quality to carry the day, and you just hope that we'll blitz this team and bop them off the park and go that way. You know,
are you saying
always have to be, you know?
Are you resting Xavi?
Sorry, Ash, what was that, mate?
Are you resting Xavi?
No, I'm putting Xavi in.
No, for Forest then.
I'm saying you look fit. You played the game. I'd say maybe look. We'll give you the first half. If you feel okay at half time, if your stats are still good, we'll give you till 60 minutes or so.
Okay.
Obviously, if we're winning 3-0, come and sit next to me. You know what I mean? So I'd start him and just see how we get on. With those European games, I think you've got to leave enough quality in there. And particularly with him, I think it would help his confidence and his physicality to keep playing. You know, take the game away from the opposition as early as we can and then start subbing off. But I would maybe Sarr and Bergvall in would be too much of a mix-up. I think they'd have the legs and the enthusiasm to make it count. It might be a bit too lightweight, but that's what I would say, because I hope Bentancur can replicate what he did on Saturday. So I would maybe leave him for Saturday, you know, unless you go Paulinho, but I would maybe leave it. And as much as you want to match up with the physicality of Forest, like we said earlier, again, we've got to show that we've got. Look, there's a big debate in the fan base at the moment. Where is our squad? Are we good enough? Are we better than this? Would you have our squad or their squad? The players have got better, right? We were 5th 2 seasons ago, and should have improved since then, the squad, right? So go out and prove it, guys. If you're technically good enough, go out and prove it, because the fans are doubting you. You know, they'll start booing you if you don't start doing this one touch. Play one touch.
I think also though, guys, although I said I'd start that first 11, obviously when you're playing in Europe and you're playing 3 games a week, you've got to rotate your squad. You've got to rotate your squad. There's no, manager that can just keep playing. So let's just say tomorrow he started Paulinho, Sarr, and Bergvall as his 10. So Sarr replicates Gray, Paulinho for Bentancur, and Bergvall as the number 10. He then went BJ on the right, and he then went Odegaard on the left, and he just went with Richie up front because it seems like Moani's not going to be fit. So if you did go with that, can you blame him for trying to do his job? I don't think I can. I'd almost look at that and go, you've been experimenting all season. You finally got 80% of this team right. I like the front 3. I like what he did against Brentford. I'm happy with that against Forest. But we do need to play the others, not just for minutes, but just because that's what squad rotation is about, is using all your players. So if he did play a first 11 of what I said with Johnson, Odegaard, Sarr, Paulinho, and Bergvall, I wouldn't be too pissed off because I see what he's trying to do. But then if we lost the game, you know what fans are going to do? They're going to say, oh, we should have started that, blah, blah, blah. So he can't win at the moment, Frank, can he really? Do you know what I mean?
Johnson might be out, bro. I think Johnson might be out.
Oh, is Johnson out? Okay. So then he has to play Kudos. You want Kudos firing on the weekend. So this just goes to show how difficult it is to be a manager for a club like Tottenham when you're in the Champions League and you've got holes in your squad and you've got injuries. So a lot of the fans have to be a little bit more open-minded to the juggling act that he's got on his hands now, because he's got to use all his players. You know, I mean, how many teams can do it all season? There's very few that can. So,
Are you saying like even if we were to like lose against Forest, that's not, but we still played well. We still played on the front foot. Do you think fans are still happy with that?
I think most fans that have been around long enough, my opinion on that one is, and me included in this, is I look at performances, because I think you can win games with a set piece and that can cover the performance, because we will go away with 3 points thinking, yeah, we won. But there's no way and there's no team that cannot perform long enough and it doesn't catch up with them. And that's the first thing I said on this show today is the performances were poor, but we were getting away with it in the beginning of the season, in my opinion. There was a couple of results. You could say probably West Ham, Man City, couple of results. Even West Ham had their chances. I remember Burnley had their chances. So on your question there, Ash, performance is more important than everything. And I'm sure Frank would say the same, because you can't fake performance, but you can get away with, like I say, a 1-0 set piece or a bit of luck.
Josh, how about maybe the medium term or short term fix might be keep doing what we've been doing away from home.
I tell you, no,
and then
I don't
better performances football wise at home, because then that might carry the day. Do you know what I mean?
The problem is like
by hook or by crook away if he needs to, but get better attacking performances at home, and then hopefully, you know, that would keep the positivity going, but keep amassing the points. But I think you're right. You want something to hold on to as a fan.
But why should you go away to Nottingham Forest trying to get the points? That doesn't sit right with me, because obviously you want the points. We need points to win prizes. We want to get back in the Champions League. I get the whole results thing, but like why should anyone turn up to Nottingham Forest scared? Like this is Nottingham Forest.
100% agreed.
So that should not even be a negotiation with the players or the manager, that we're just going there to get 3 points. We're going there to perform, and even if we lose, like Ash said, and we perform, I'm happier than win it on a corner, because I don't think there's only a few teams we should go away to in the league that we win ugly, and there's only about 4 or 5 teams, in my opinion. The rest, I think we should be looking at a performance, a footballing performance, not a performance for a result, but a footballing performance.
Yeah, but can he risk?
That's just my view.
I just think at the moment, although absolutely, if he's put on a good display performance-wise, the team have, then that'll buy him time. I just think we do need to keep getting.
Do you not think the fans are smart enough to see that we're trying to perform away from home over results?
In an ideal world, you get what we got on Saturday. We get result and performance. But I think at the moment, away from home against Forest, and look, let's not forget, right? It hasn't been talked about in a while, but Forest, you know, they were a bit naughty with their behaviour towards us in the summer, yeah. And I normally like Forest as a club. I've got Forest friends and whatnot. You know, rest in peace, Cloughie, yeah. I would love to stick one on them so badly. And my Greek brother, Marinakis, or whatever his name is, he can shut the front door, mate. He can do one. And if you never see me again, it's because he's had a word with someone, right? But in the end, we owe him one. We owe him one. And Gibbs White might be up for it, but we should be more up for this. But it goes back to what you're saying there, Josh. I don't think that there shouldn't be a choice between aggression and performance and wanting to go there and be dogged and match them for a fight and maybe get a set piece goal, but also perform. That should almost be like, you know, the baseline should be fight for the ball, fight for each other, try and get some goals on set pieces. These are all things that should happen, but they shouldn't be mutually exclusive with playing to win and doing the right thing.
Yeah, just showing Ivan
arrested
for headbutting.
Yeah, is this breaking? Is it? Wow.
Yeah.
What an idiot, man! What an idiot.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so he's
well, fitting well with Spurs, won't he? Him maybe Bits can
him
do
and Basuma,
his inauguration party. Do you know what I mean? Get the balloons out.
That's always been the problem.
Going back to that Forest bit, the problem there you've got is that the results have been so bad at home. He can't go to Forest and attack and lose. it doesn't matter about performance, because if he goes there and we lose and there's a performance, a lot of the fans are going to be, see, there you go, see, we're back to square one. We've lost.
I don't think they will, Marlon.
They will.
I'll go back to when Arteta finished 8th twice in a row. I was speaking to my Arsenal fans. I'm unfortunately to know a lot of them. My best mate's an Arsenal fan. It was nice with them on Saturday, though. I'll tell you that was a good day. But yeah, I mean, speaking to Arsenal fans 3-4 years ago, they were like, "Nah, but I can see what he's trying to do. I can see what he's trying to do. It's just we're not pulling it off.
Yeah, but a lot of
we're not pulling it off. They were going away from home, trying to perform. I'm talking about Arteta in those seasons. Yeah. He just had some bad apples and couldn't get his message across.
But if you ask Arsenal fans now, okay, if you say to them, okay, you win the league this year, okay, it's fine, but will you put up with Arteta's football next year again, doing the exact same dogged way? A lot of them are kind of like, I don't like watching the football. They just want the title at the moment.
I think at the moment they just want the title just to get the bounce off their back. But once they get the title, they'll probably be like, now we want to see football.
Yeah, but they're not going to see that because they've just sat there and watched this dogged. He's been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now.
What are you talking about? The XG and what? Just the attacking?
No, just their set pieces. They're terrible to watch. They just have a very good team. That's all they are at the moment.
Are they terrible to watch? I watched them against us in Bayern Munich, and that wasn't terrible. I know they've had a couple of shaky results, which is probably to do with the physicality.
I didn't watch them against Bayern. I watched them against Villa. I've watched them in some other games, and they are terrible to watch. Against us, we just allowed them. We opened up like the sea. And you got to remember
that's the wider point, isn't it? They're leading a really bad league at the moment.
Yeah. And up until when they played us, they'd only scored 8 goals from open play.
But don't you think this is a funny
They're missing 3 of the back 4 at the moment, lads. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that's now. But before they played us, they'd only scored 8 goals from open play.
They've been the best team in the league.
Yeah, but that's where the league's at the moment.
But Josh, don't you think it's funny though? What you're saying is right.
I mean, it's a very intense league, guys. It's not like it's any easier than it.
But they've got the best squad in the league. That's why they're winning. That's why
Have Liverpool got the best squad?
No,
I'm just saying.
Arsenal.
So you think Arsenal are underperforming based on that squad?
They are. They could be if you gave them a manager that wanted to attack, but they probably wouldn't defend the way they are, like Gabriel and Saliba. If you then gave them an attacking team, probably wouldn't.
The thing is, Arsenal don't try and play to win it on set pieces, but they're just very good at them. They do try and play the game. Even against Villa, they tried to get the ball down and play. I didn't see Odegaard going long from defence or anyone trying to go long every time.
That's because Gabriel's out. Once Gabriel's out, they don't. The same thing happened to them partly last year. Once Gabriel's out, they try to set piece because
the point is, don't you think it's funny though, Josh? You're talking about he was given time with the 2 8th place finishes because they could see what he was doing. But now that he's not doing the same thing that he was trying to do then. There was that season, I think the season, maybe even the second season, but definitely the year after we beat them to 4th place, they were looking quite scary, right? Going forward, they were scary. And that, I think, was what the fans were seeing. That's what he was trying to do. That was the evolution, right, of his team. But because they didn't get it over the line, he's now completely changed it.
And what you're saying is they've got a soft centre, is what you're saying. They've got a soft centre, and they showed that on the weekend. I agree, they probably do have a soft centre.
Well, I think he's almost tried to overcompensate for that by being more dogged and having that rough edge to them. But now that
he's trying to find more than one way to win a game, and that's a good thing as a manager. That's what we're talking about now. Is if it's 75 minutes and we're trying to perform and play football against Nottingham Forest and it's not working, and Romero pumps a long ball up and Richarlison heads it in and we win 1-0. You take that. But I still want to see 70 minutes or at least a half of performance. I don't want to be going in the first 5 and we're going long.
Don't get me wrong, listen, we cannot go and have games where we're not having shots on target in the first half. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, you feel like you've woken up after a nightmare and it's back at the beginning of Nuno's reign. No disrespect to Nuno, right? He wasn't given time, but when he won the first whatever many games he won, and we weren't getting any shots on target, and now we almost felt like we were back in exactly the same space as we are all these years later. But at least Saturday showed us, and all the things you've taken us for, Ash, you can see there is something else brewing. So it would be really disheartening if we did go and just try and
pump
out.
it long. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I do still think there's got to be, and just from what we've seen from Frank, the Tottenham version so far, you can see that he'll try and mix it up. Do you know what I mean? You know it. He'll try and do something. And I just wonder whether he might try and do a bit more of a stodge fest. But if the players are fit enough, with the players that come through tomorrow, we'll see what we've got on Saturday. I think you can do both. And actually, look, just my feeling about football, going back to what I said earlier, if we're playing aggressively and trying to press, but being smart with the press, not just gung-ho, chasing after it and then leaving space behind. But if we're being very intelligent with the press like we were on Saturday, I think we'll put Forest under more pressure than if we do just try and play for set piece and pump it long. We're mixing it up a bit and are smarter. Again, giving Forest a different look. Don't just go Ange ball, but don't just go low block. Have a bit of a mix up, and then
like guys, if you look at the Villa game on the weekend, the Villa Arsenal game, Villa won that game by playing football. They were intricately playing football. The subs that Emery made were attacking subs because they've got the wind in their sails, home and away.
Yeah,
we need to be at that stage where it's 70 minutes and Frank's going, I can put on attacking talent, and we continue to play.
The question is Emery a better coach than Frank, and do Villa have better players than Spurs? And they probably do right now, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I think what they did well was they played centrally quite well.
Yeah,
meaning that
Tielemans
they realized that Tielemans and Rodgers, those guys there, they rather than playing through the flanks, they just play to their strengths. And sometimes he really likes to play a 4-2-2 as well.
Cool.
He used wingers. He kind of uses.
But that's where that game, and that's at White Hart Lane, and it's 1-1 and it's 70th. Is Frank going to do what Emery did? I don't think he's there yet with it, and I think that's what he has to do to win us over properly.
Yeah, it's interesting the profiles that we have at the moment.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
We don't have a Daniel Marlon to bring on. That's the problem.
James Maddison touched grass.
Or Buendia. We don't have them two sort of players to come off the bench.
James Maddison, yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, agreed. James Maddison touched grass today. Coming back to Tottenham, it's good to talk about Villa, Arsenal. But obviously, it's a Spurs show. And look at James Maddison touched grass.
It's not good to talk about that. I feel sick. I need to wash my mouth out.
Well, it's good
my mouthwash here.
You want to talk about other clubs? It's relevant.
We had to talk about that Arsenal game because they lost.
Well, yeah, Maddison was talking about on Sky Sports today. He hosted it with Jamie Carragher, and he said first of all, he's like, I'm a goal scoring midfielder. That's what I do. I score goals in it. But it's interesting because he didn't have the same injury as Bentancur or Jagushin, because they had the ACL plus I think it was the metatarsal, the
medial.
I can't remember, but they had two injuries in the knee, whereas I think
ligament injuries.
Yeah, I think where Maddison just had the ACL, it's going to allow him to come back a little bit ahead of time. He's not going to be out for the whole season. He's still away. That's what Frank said. I know in our medical team, they're probably messing.
You said he's on grass, so Maddison's back training.
Yeah, Maddison's on grass. Maddison's on grass. He's not training with the team, but there was a photo with him with the team. So make of that what you want. But
I think he's on the other grass, to be honest. But
yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think
he was on a night out with Basuma as well.
Yeah.
They're saying he was training with Kulu and Solanke away from the team. But there's photos and videos showing that he was with the actual team. And obviously he was in Sky Sports Studio today, blah, blah, blah. But it'll be interesting to see how Frank uses him in the first few matches. And if he will like take Xavi off and use Maddison as that lone 10, or will he use Maddison as a left 8? Do you know what I'm saying? As more of a midfield 3, rather than having him as an attacking midfielder. Even though Maddison's coming out saying, I'm a goal scoring midfielder. That's what I do. I score goals. So I just thought that was interesting.
For me, Maddison's best up top, lads. We saw that with Son. We saw it last season. He's a very clever player. And I think if you hold it, you can pull him back to start play. But he's most impactful and dangerous when he's around the penalty box. And he got Didn't he get most of our goals and assists the season before? Was it? I can't remember. Not most, but he was up there. Goal contribution. So
Yeah.
this Maddison argument about sitting low, I'm not really for it unless we're really struggling to play out the back. Then pull him back, because we need him. But for me, Madders has got to be like up there, number 10, even a false 9, because he's that clever. He's that clever. We can't be wasting him at the back. But sometimes we need that, don't we? Because we're crap at bringing it out.
Do you think Frank will use Maddison? Do you think Maddison?
I think you've got to be very careful because he just come back from an injury.
Yeah,
not as serious as one he's got now, obviously, but he just come back from a serious injury, and then he went again. And I'm sure I've heard a report of him saying, I don't know whether it was on his channel and his own documentary, about how, well, not a gamble, but they were aware of maybe that something in his, it would take time to build up to, and obviously before he could, he's ruptured his ACL. Yeah. I think we've got to be very careful with that, and obviously our track record of injury management is shambolic, to say the very least. You know what I mean? I don't know what the LinkedIn post was saying.
Hence the reason why Maddison's
LinkedIn medical shout outs. Maybe fishing for medical staff on LinkedIn tells you all you need to know about that side of football club.
Mate, I applied for it and I got an interview, so you know what I mean. That tells you everything you need to know. I don't know anything about medicine.
You could be the ITK. You could be Spurs Kings chief ITK in the medical room. It's the one thing though I wanted to say. Just one thing you said, Marlon, about Villa and when Marlon came on, and not you, Marlon, but Marlon, and you thought to yourself, well, none of our players are that good. That's what I'm saying. Our players have got to show and prove that they are, right? Mawani's got to prove, hold on, I was playing for France in a World Cup final here. I'm better than this, Donny.
And as a €90 million player as well. Yeah.
Let's go and prove it. Odebear's got to show that if he's going to actually make a stick of it at a club like Spurs, he's got to mix it up with whoever's starting on the left. Tell as well. Do I think that that's going to happen? Probably not. But all these players in the same way, and that's why you need the players to be consistent day in, day out on the training pitch, because it will literally, excuse the pun, spur everyone else on. Because if the level is going up and up and up in training, to get into the team, you've got to surpass these guys. That's what it's all about. Now, obviously, at the moment, and over the course of this season so far, you're looking at it questioning, is this the worst Spurs attack in multiple generations, right? Because we're so short on attacking options, striking options. But now Richie's goal output, his assist output is getting there. No matter what we think of his technical ability, he's doing a bit and he's in good form. So now the other players have got to build on what they did on Saturday and keep proving it. And so they should go, just going back to you're saying, Josh, why shouldn't they go to Forest and say, Forest massively disrespected us in the summer, right? They were giving it Billy Big Balls about them being a club and we always win and all this stuff. Let's go and smash them off the park. Let's show, we've won a European trophy before, since all of your fans, were born in anything later than 1976 or whatever. So let's go and prove it. Let's wipe these people. Let's wipe the smile off their face.
And I think that's what people liked about Ange. That's what people liked about Ange. Is he was naive and defensively, the way he set up and the way he coached and how he ignored set pieces. But he had a go. Ange had a go, and fans like that. Do you know what I mean? He used to go away from home and play, 5-6 up top. And I know we'd lose. I know we lost a lot away from home and at home last season. So, smile about it now. But at the time, I was loving the aggression. And then I soon realized this is coming at a big cost. You know? So we had to in the end.
I think we didn't have the aggression in terms of winning the ball and to earn the right to play.
I actually think we had the aggression, but the players were just lost. I don't think he coached anything but just pass and move and play and shoot. I don't think he coached off the ball what you do. I don't think he coached when you're getting pressed what you do. I think he just had one way of coaching, one template, and you can't do that in a Premier League. And this is what goes back to what you guys were saying about Marlon was just saying now. If we go away and we do a professional performance and win and mix it up with a corner, a set piece, and a bit of football, you take that based on what we've seen with Ange, because that's what we were crying out for with Ange, is balance. The amount of times I said the word balance with Ange, I just kept saying every week, we ain't got balance. We haven't got balance. We're imbalanced. We're too attacking. So don't get me wrong. I would love to go to Nottingham Forest, win 1-0. And if we take a corner and win it, great. But over the long run, over the future of Thomas Frank's football Spurs career, if he doesn't, confidence breeds confidence. So if you allow the team to win away from home by playing football, they're only going to get more confident at doing it again. So at some point, he's got to release the handbrake away from home and say, no, guys, I don't care if you lose. And Ange would say this when he'd say, don't look at the scoreline. Just play the goddamn game.
I agree. But I've got to shoot off. I'm going to let you lot carry on. Big up to you guys. Big up to the panel. Big up to the chat as well, as always. Marlon, you got this. But yeah, I'm out.
I think I can end there. Yeah.
Listen, the thing I just think, Josh, right, with it is if you look at the last two results as a template, and whereas I completely agree with you, I just think if we, obviously it wasn't a good performance against Newcastle, but it was dogged and we got away with something. We didn't leave empty-handed. If we did the same, but ended up beating Forest, but then go and win whatever the next home game is, the Liverpool game, yeah? Say if we won that, the atmosphere at the club is going to be so buoyant. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost a case of we've just got to be professional and just build maybe baby steps. Be hard to beat and maybe
the only thing with the baby steps, I hear where you're coming from, Phil, but the only thing with the baby steps is how baby are they going to be? So is a baby step going to Forest and just getting the result, or is a baby step going to Forest and trying to play the first half the way we want to play, and then saying this ain't working, and half time Frank says, right, we're going to go to plan B, and that is plan B. That's not plan A. That maybe that was plan A earlier in the season, but plan A is now changed. Plan A is now playing the game, possession, control, creativity. You know, his favorite line is not risking is risking. Well, let's do that in the first half.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he looked at Tadarius to do, but apparently he had that line before, so I'll give him that. But that is Tadarius to do, isn't it? The risk is not taking the risk. So in my opinion, if you go to Forest and I see the first half we're trying to play, and let's say we're 2-0 down because we tried to play the game and Morgan Gibbs-White and Anderson caught us off guard, or whoever it is, Chris, whatever it is up top, you're sitting there going, shit, we probably should have played a more conservative, pragmatic game because we still be in the game. But then at some point we'll go away from home and win doing that. And that's when I'm looking at a bit like how Ange said, you know, it's like a steamliner trying to do a U-turn. There comes a point where you make 3 mistakes or you lose 3 times, but on the 4th time you say, do you know what? We're sticking to our principles. And I want to see that from Frank, because I don't think Frank will stay in this job longer than, I don't know, maybe this season, if he doesn't start showing balls away from home in playing the game the way Spurs fans want to see it, especially against Nottingham Forest or even a Palace or a Bournemouth. Go there and play the game. Like Chelsea tried to play football on the weekend. They didn't get the result, but I saw the game. They tried to play football. They didn't go long. You know, they're missing Caicedo. They didn't go long. So at some point, Frank will have to twist and go that way. And there will be losses, I believe, in that journey. But those losses will lead to the point where the team's like, all right, we're good at this now. We can do this in someone else's back garden. That's the bit I'm waiting for Frank on. And I've actually got a question mark on Frank. I don't know if he's got that in him. If I'm being honest, I don't know if Frank has got the balls and the confidence to do that away from home. I think he will always try and nick it.
We're all
and that's what, Marlon, you said that last time I was in here. You said, I only think Frank's really got this mixed bag. He hasn't got the other bag that I'm looking for, which is the 70% gold dust, 30% Frank.
You know, the only thing that gives me the hope, not just the last result, which I think does give you that glimmer, something at least to hold on to. It was the way he was able to work with the attacking players that Brentford had and turn and help them in their development to where they are now, you know, I suppose is, and what I've heard other people talk about is, was that just the unearthing of diamonds? Was it just the scientific approach and the scouting methodology of Brentford as an organisation that found Embuemo and found Visser, and those players were diamonds in the rough? And okay, Frank polished it and helped them, but actually those players were always the player, you know, they were always going to do what they were going to do.
It's a bit like Igor Jesus with him right now. You know, I know he was out for the year, but he's come under Keith Andrews, and it's like nothing's not changed at Brentford. So was it more down to Brentford and the way they run the club more than actually the manager himself?
Yeah,
which is the big question.
Exactly.
But then, if go on.
Sorry, Josh. I think that's the only difference. I completely agree with you. I'd much rather him try, right? Like you're saying. I just think with what we've seen from Frank so far, both at Brentford and now so far at Spurs, I think it'll be more like what I think the last week's been. I think he'll want to be. His version of what you're asking for is almost to be more solid, get that as a base, and then start adding on the layers of complexity and the attacking prowess,
which he calls phase 2 and phase 3.
Exactly. Whereas, and what's failed us isn't that away form. The away fans, you know, God bless them, they've had more to cheer about this season than they have the last 2 seasons put together. But apart from Europe, in the last 2 years. But then you look at it and you think, well, it's the home form that is killing him, or has been killing him. Whereas if he can just keep moving in the right direction, hopefully not baby steps, but if he can get the right direction going away, but really get motoring at home, that I think would be enough. Even if we are more stodgy, but getting results away from home, but really starting to motor at home, I think that because that's where the vast majority of Spurs fans see the game.
This is where the word identity comes in, doesn't it? Because everyone said, what is Frank's identity? And Frank's identity is what he did at Brentford. There are moments that he took advantage of tactically to win games, but they never played amazing football. Brentford never played amazing football, but why would they, right? Why would they play amazing football? They didn't have the players to play amazing football. Now he's at Tottenham. If he doesn't play, I'm not saying play amazing football, but play the game, then in my opinion, he's going to run out of rope with the fans away from home because all right, if I asked you this, in 12 months, you want to see Spurs going away from home, controlling the game in 70% of the games. That's what I want to see. And I'm going to give him the 12 months because I don't think it's fair to judge him. It's too early to judge him right now. It's not even Christmas and we shouldn't be judging him now. There's been injuries, whatever. But in 12 months, if we're going away from home, trying to win in a pragmatic way, what are we, Newcastle? What are we, Villa? What are we? Or are we Spurs? Now, I'm not saying I'm deluded not to know that this squad isn't good enough to go away from home and play what I'm asking them to do. I'm not that deluded. But what I'm saying is, how are we going to attract players or keep players if we're just going to aim to be like an Eddie Howe style of team? Or just try and be an Unai Emery and catch teams? Because whilst Unai Emery shot on the weekend, he went for it, you know, and Villa passed their way into that win, you know, with good football. And it was refreshing to see. And maybe he's realizing with Villa fans, I can't just win on low XG or just being super efficient. I need to have that XG. Villa fans are asking for that. They want to see that now. Spent a lot of money. I've been here 3 years. When's that point come with Frank when we sit and look at him and say, where's the next level? And I'm saying start the baby.
Saying baby steps. I'm saying start those steps now. Then we're looking at next season saying, where is it? Because this time next year, we could be more involved in that journey if he starts earlier in that. But if he keeps waiting to sort of keep his job and try and get a 6th or 7th place finish, where does that journey start then? Because Arteta started early is what I'm saying to you. Arteta started early.
And on that note, I'll let you guys go. Yeah, bombshell. Phil, let everyone know where you're going to be over the next few weeks.
I'm just going to be enjoying Christmas, enjoying being Spurs, because they put us through the mill, our football club, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Obviously, we'd rather not be through the mill, but we wouldn't be any other club. There's a reason we're all Spurs, yeah? And there's a reason we still stay Spurs. There's a reason we're on camera tonight, fronting up. It's nice when we've won. It's fantastic we've won. But ultimately, I wouldn't want to be Woolwich. You know what I mean? Whatever. No, it's not for me. We're brilliant, and one day we will come again. And that's what they're all scared of. And that's why they play out their skin whenever they play us. Chelsea, Woolwich, all of these teams, because they are scared that we will come again. And we will. Whether it'll be under Frank or someone else, we will come again. And that's what I'm looking forward to. That's my Christmas wish, Marlon. Let it be this season. But listen, thanks for having me on, mate. Pleasure to see you. Josh, lovely to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you.
With you. And Merry Christmas, one and all. Keep it Tottenham.
Just let everyone know where they can find you, mate.
I'm not really online too much, so you'll probably find me on here again, or there's a TV Tottenham. So if you go and Google those guys, I'm on there most weeks. So yeah, you can catch me on there. Spurs Debate TV is a channel that I own. It's football. It's Tottenham content, not me. So please join. Please subscribe to that. And yeah, listen. Hopefully we win tomorrow. That'll be 2 wins, which we haven't seen for a long time. I'm not sure when we last saw 2 wins in a row. So hopefully we do that, and hopefully we go and put in the performance we've been all talking about away to Forest, and we play Brazilian football like I want us to, even though I know we ain't got the players for it. But up the Spurs, and listen, we should be happy because that was a brilliant performance, and finally we can go out there with a bit of chest for now.
As always, thank you to everyone in the comments as well tonight. You've been great as per usual. Thanks to Phil, thanks to Josh, thanks to Ash, thanks to Oren as well. Ash will be back Wednesday with the Bible show. I don't think we're back tomorrow. None of us doing anything. But yeah, as always, tune in next Monday we'll be back same time, 10 o'clock after the Spurs 5.